It is 6 a.m. Good Wednesday morning and happy hump day from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Stanley Cup, it's staying in South Florida. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champs as they dominate the Edmonton Oilers last night 5-1, taking Game 6 and the series 4-2. The Panthers are the third team in the last century going back-to-back and joined fellow South Florida native Tampa Bay Lightning, who did it back in 2020 and 2021. Panther center Sam Reinhart had an impressive 4 goals last night and became the 6th player in NHL history and the first since 1957 when Maurice Rocket Richard had 4 goals and a game in the final. Goalie Sergei Bobrovsky made 28 saves and Sam Bennett took home the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. Bennett was the leading goal scorer in the playoffs with 15 goals. And in the College World Series in Omaha, it's down to 4 teams. Arkansas last night eliminated UCLA 7-3, and Louisville eliminated Oregon State 7-6. Louisville moves on to play Coastal Carolina this afternoon at 1 p.m., and Arkansas will take on LSU tonight at 6 p.m. Both games are on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning, getting you started, getting you out of bed and getting you out the door to start off the middle of your week. This is Ramon and Will, brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone, 615-737-1045, the number. We don't have a show tomorrow, so this kind of feels like not quite Friday Junior, but Friday the 2nd?
Friday the 2nd works.
We're working through it, Ramon Foster.
Yeah, we are. But hey, look, we got to figure out a name for it because we won't be here tomorrow. So
that's right.
Let's call us out. How about that? Let's call us out.
Streaming the show live, 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. He is the 11-year NFL veteran, Ramon Foster. Woo! I'm Will Bowling. Justin Hawkins, our producer.
That's me.
And coming up this morning, we've got a lot for you. Covering a lot of different topics. Look, it's June. We're going to talk a little hockey, talk a little baseball, talk a little trash, perhaps, between Diego Pavia and Tennessee. Maybe react to a column from One Buck Rising at AtoZSports.com about Cam Ward. Rhett Bryan joins us at 9 o'clock this morning. Inky Johnson at the end of the show. And your thoughts throughout the morning in the F&M Bank chat on Wednesday, June the 18th, at a fun event last night. Ramon Foster for the new Titans radio crew. A fun week so far.
Pretty cool, man. Taylor Zarzer's event yesterday, man, at Fat Bottom Brewery. Had a good time. Good turnout, man. Good people. I told Will afterwards, I was like, Will, you fit the crew. I was just like, it was
high
natural.
Praise. I appreciate that.
It was cool, man. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Y'all talking about the travel schedule a little bit. I was like, I'm gonna be real. Those are some nice trips, man. And the only reason I say they're nice trips is because I don't have to line up and put my hand in the dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like, the cities, they never mattered to me, Will, because like, I'll say never had the luxury of like being inactive, but like I played. So like me going to those cities was like, oh, this is awesome. This is a cool city. Never been to this city. And then I got to go play and focus. Like on your side of things now, though, you get to go walk around, have a little leisure time.
We'll still be focusing, but yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. I was
focusing on a different kind of work versus putting your hand in the dirt.
Yeah, no.
Look, I'm gonna over prep so much for some of those first games just to be ready for every possible scenario that it will be work. But yes, you're right. I always would think when I was running, I would have so much anxiety about the races and about living up to my expectations and coaches' expectations and not letting the team down. I thought so many times, man, these trips would be so fun if I wasn't actually competing in them. I wish I could just do these trips without actually being the athlete. And here we are. That is the luxury that I will have now. No, that's right.
No, seriously. One of the main cities, Will, that I wanted to like thoroughly enjoy as a player, Chicago. I always heard from like friends that have like visited there. Like my brother and his wife went on like a vacation trip to Chicago just to be downtown and stuff. But like for me, it is Soldier Field. It is the hotel. It is we may go to dinner and that's it. But like when I went this last year with the Titans, the room that they put, I'm gonna brag a little bit now, okay? The room that they put me up in, dog, and I think all of us, this is a very nice hotel downtown Chicago. Well, I walked down and said, is this for me? Like I thought I was getting a roommate first and foremost, okay? I legitimately thought I was getting a roommate. Nice. And then the Titans radio crew, all of us would walk because Coach Mack knows the city like crazy.
I'm sure the mayor was there to greet him.
No, seriously.
Governor of Illinois with a key to the city as he made his way into the hotel.
The Bears ownership crossed the street to come see Coach Mack, okay? Like, you laugh and you jump, but like, y'all got to go to Arizona, and I'm sure it's going to be the same thing, too.
Sure.
But back to, like, Chicago, like, I'd never seen Chicago from regular person's view. We're walking downtown, and I'm just looking up and down like Macaulay Culkin and Home Alone, just like,
it's a cool city.
This city is big. Yeah. And Coach Mack gave me a term for it, man. It was, he's like, man-made canyons, Ramon. And I was just like, you're right.
Man-made canyons, okay.
Chicago's so big.
Yeah,
but like,
for sure.
What I'm saying is this. As Titans Radio invited me in, the Tennessee Titans, too, to take those trips with them and work the job with them, like, I thoroughly enjoyed the cities this time around from this perspective. And I know you've gone to tons of Titans games growing up, so you get to see the operation of it now. So you'll like it.
You'll thoroughly enjoy Atlanta, Georgia. At the end of August this year as well.
Yes, 100%. I'm looking forward to that one. It should be a good time, though. And Knoxville, I've never actually done it like this.
Yeah.
This fall for Vol Network.
And
you know
again, for those who are unfamiliar, not only will Ramon be on the Vol Network broadcast this year, he is not leaving us.
No.
Importantly as well. So that booth in Atlanta is awesome. Because I've done a couple of Nashville SC games from the visiting radio booth in Atlanta, and it's actually funny. There's the Club World Cup is going on right now where all these European soccer teams are playing in American football stadiums over the course of this next month and in some soccer stadiums as well. And it's funny watching Europeans see our football stadiums for the first time. I have seen so many posts on social media of these British people because Chelsea played LAFC and Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Monday, just going, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing football pitch I have ever seen. Yeah. This is phenomenal. Phenomenal. I've never seen anything like this. And it blows their minds. I got a little more Australian than British in that accent, but that's fine. Similar, Commonwealth.
Yes, very
all
much
the
so.
Same, respectfully. And they just can't wrap their minds around how cool our stadiums here are. So I think that is one thing about America that we probably take for granted because we grew up with all these just cathedrals of football, that we have it pretty good when it comes to stadiums and where to watch football. For fans and for media and broadcasters alike.
One particular city, besides the job, one particular city you looking forward to, or any fan base? Ooh. I mean, any fan here is looking to visit in the city.
I am looking forward to going to Phoenix with Mac.
I love Arizona.
Because I've never been to Phoenix other than to connect on a flight.
Yeah.
I've never been outside the airport, so that's one trip that I've not done. I've actually never been to Denver either, and that's obviously the one I'm looking forward to the most just to start because that is the start of the regular season, and excited to see Cam Ward against that vaunted Broncos defense and do those trips, but I'm just excited to be a quiet person at the back of the plane and just be a part of it. I will speak when spoken to, and I'm just happy to be on the wheels that are going up.
I'm just happy to be here.
I cannot wait. Absolutely. It's a privilege to be part of the team.
You get a good one early too, or the Titans fan base get a good one early too. Houston. I'll be honest with you, is a good stop too. Yeah, Houston. Sure. Well, just in overall too, the overall experience inside the stadium. That's what I will say about the Titans' new Nissan Stadium. Like, it's temperature controlled.
Exactly.
And like, it does become a party inside of those domes more so than like outside. Like outside, you gotta, you know what I'm saying, fight the elements too. But Houston will be a good trip, man. This should be a road trip type of season for Titans fans is what I'm also getting at.
Sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
Get those West Coast flight points.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty soon it's going to be indoor trips to every AFC South stadium.
It really is.
With new Nissan Stadium, with the canopy going over the Jaguars Stadium, and, of course, Houston and Indy. Be the only division with all indoor stadiums.
I'll have to look this up, but I got to see if Jacksonville is going to be operating to put this dome up while they're also playing in it, too.
Yeah, I'm curious how that's going to go. For sure.
Because you mentioned a dome, and I'm just like, okay, is this something like Miami Gardens have? Like where the Dolphins play? Like this half shell where they pretty much They have set it up to where the sun shines on the away team side. Like, I wonder if it's a situation like that, or are they actually going to – because that's a wide open space now that I'm thinking about it.
So Jags, according to their website, construction begins now. So construction started in February. They will play in Jacksonville with 60,000 plus capacity this year. Next season in 2026, they will play in Jacksonville with reduced capacity. So approximately 43,500. I imagine they will spend even more time in London in 2026. They're home away from home. And then 2027, they will play one season away from Jacksonville, location to be determined. So they don't know where they're going for 2027. And then the Stadium of the Future, as they're naming it, opens in August of 2028.
Well, a very long time. Our fans didn't know where to go anyway with all those black tarps at the top of the stadium. So this is brand new to them.
Right. I think reduced capacity will be just fine in Jacksonville.
Yeah, 100%.
Their fans have actually been practicing reduced capacity for years.
For years. Look at that. As we start our trash talk segment that's coming up real soon.
So they have a heat with a next-generation transparent protective shell, providing sun, wind, and rain protection, reducing heat retention by 70+% in Jacksonville.
They need it. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's hell inside that stadium.
Oh, I'm sure.
No.
I've been in January. I've not been in the heat of the summer, but I've been to a couple of Tax Slayer Gator Bowls, whatever you want to call them there, including one against Indiana, our good friend Buck Rising, that we stole from them at the end.
I mean, you might as well.
Imagine losing a bowl game to Jeremy Pruitt. Anyway, separate conversation. But certainly not as bad in January as I'm sure it is there in the hot, late summer, early fall months.
I've seen guys like get IVs in a game like that.
I don't doubt it.
Like, it is Florida weather. Like, it's all of them should be domed in Florida. I will say that too. Like,
you made the point this week though that it's felt like we've had Florida afternoon storms here every day.
Well, have you seen what the radars looked out to? Like, it's legitimate, like scattered storms everywhere across Middle Tennessee. So yeah, this is Florida Junior at this point right now, the way we're dealing with this rain. But I know my farmer friends are excited about it, though. Sure. I mean, I had one of the parents on the team is putting corn down. So they put corn down and they need this rain right here.
There you go.
His wife was like, well, which one do you want? Do you want to be off the combine or do you want the rain for the corn?
And he responded and said, "Aw, shucks." 615-737-1045 is our number. We stream the show live at 1045 The Zone TV. You can hit the comment section and join the F&M Big Chat, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Coming up, Diego Pavia had a lot to say on Bussin' with the Boys, including some not-so-indirect shots at the University of Tennessee. We'll talk about it next. Ramon Will at 104.5. The Zone is fueled by Scooter's Coffee. You can visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. 615-737-1045. It is the podcast interview heard around the world, Ramon Foster.
Yeah, man.
And in the middle of June, content aggregators love long-form interviews like Diego Pavia's on Bussin' with the Boys. I have seen no more than 4 or 5 different headlines come out of this interview on 4 or 5 different topics. Shade at the Big Ten, comments about growing as an NFL quarterback prospect. You've got stuff about Diego Pavia taking a $4 to $4.5 million NIL offer and turning it down to enter the transfer portal and leave Vanderbilt this offseason. So first and foremost, credit to the bus and the boys, as they're called, in Taylor Lewan, Will Compton, and that entire crew. Great sit down with Diego Pavia, and good on them for getting this conversation on their podcast channel.
No doubt about it. They who was it? I think I forget who it was speaking about it, but they do a real good job of getting people to say stuff that they never would before. The old Vrabel take, right? Like, I'll cut it off for a ring. Like, whoa,
yeah.
Buddy.
They are really good interviews, and then they get you to relax and just let it flow.
Yeah, they do.
Just be totally yourself. And Diego Pavia has a lot to say, and he had a lot to say in this interview.
It's almost as if you come in with a suit, and they start taking the jacket off.
Right.
Next thing you know, the tie is just like, am I home? No, you're not.
And then the chest hair starts to breathe a little bit because you've got a couple buttons undone. Yeah, that's right.
That's the signs of a great interviewer, right?
100%.
So shout out to Taylor and shout out to Will too. Will Compton, Taylor Lewan, man. But there's certain stuff in those moments that you still got to realize I am locked in. I still have an obligation to more than just myself. And this stuff doesn't move. I mean, this stuff doesn't leave the internet for the most part. Like, I'm not sure if anybody asked them to edit stuff out, playing that route. But it seems to me it's free-flowing when it comes to Bussin' with the Boys and the information that comes out.
So Diego Pavia's main headline coming out of this conversation is the shot at Tennessee. Here he is on Bussin' with the Boys, the Vanderbilt starting quarterback, talking about running the state of Tennessee.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year. Like, this is going to be the new staple of, like, college football is going to happen here at Vanderbilt.
Do any of you and the boys ever, like, talk about that? Like, we got to be the state school.
Well,
we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the Music City. Like, we need to be the brand of Tennessee.
Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. So they want to come to Nashville, so Vanderbilt. And then when we have, like, the most money in NIL, like, why not come here? So, like, we literally just have to win this year and throughout the rest of the year. It'll take care of itself.
You think Vandy will have the most money in the game? Or
I think we'll be up there.
Yeah.
But, like, it's Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters around here.
Yeah.
They just need a team to believe in.
Yeah, that's all they need.
They need Diego Pavia.
So that is Diego Pavia, Vanderbilt quarterback with Will Compton. You hear Taylor Lewan also in the interview. Ramon, what stands out first and foremost about what Diego Pavia has to say there?
Unaware first. He mentions this is Nashville, and I do agree. There's a component to where Vanderbilt should use the city of Nashville, probably the best city in the SEC as it stands. Austin is in there as far as, like, cities that people visit, right? You got to throw stuff to do.
Yeah,
so, yeah, he should be trying to sell it. I've mentioned that on this show before. They need to do more to embody what Nashville is, but here's the issue that he has. Most of those Nashville people are Vols fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what he's also fighting against as it pertains to him saying, run the state, run this city, and make Vanderbilt a thing. The other part of it is like, he has to say this too. I think as a head coach, manager of that team, Clark Lee probably is like gritting his teeth, but also appreciating it too, because it's probably his mindset. I do think there's a portion of his fan base. No, I would say this. I think a good portion of Vanderbilt's football fan base absolutely love this because they hate the Vols just as much as Diego Pavia has learned in 100%. The last couple of years. The issue that he has, though, is this. Sometimes you can get put in a box, and that box gets loud until you walk outside the box and you realize that box is small. And then you start to realize, oh, I've probably bit off more than I've absolutely needed for this meal right here. And it's not just the Vols that he's got to deal with in this sentiment. Like, if this is your mindset moving forward, you already know that Alabama got you on the hit list.
Yeah.
You got other teams that have done more outside of just being able to talk on busing with the boys, because it's about football at the end of the year. And I feel like for a guy like him, this is his last year. He was granted another season, and he's going to be as boisterous as he possibly can be to make Vanderbilt bigger than what it actually is. But that's not reality sometimes. Unless they're about to out-scheme folks and run a triple option type of offense still and keep him healthy, Diego, you shouldn't talk trash about something that you can't control, especially when you're completing only 59% of your passes, too.
Last season, 59% completion, like you said, 2,293 yards, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. During the 2024 season, dual threat, ran 800 yards, 8 touchdowns as well on the ground, was very dynamic. He won the Alabama state championship again. He beat Alabama, of course, and he led Vanderbilt to some iconic moments last season and galvanized a program and elevated a program that needed someone to step in and say, oh, you guys have always done it this way? Why? We're going to do it my way.
Yeah.
And there was some value in that. There was a lot of value in that last season. But by the time he played Tennessee, Diego Pavia was 8 of 17 against Tennessee for 104 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception in a 36-23 loss. Vanderbilt led that game 14-0, including on a game-opening kickoff return for a touchdown, then a quick turnover, then Pavia goes down and scores again. Tennessee was down and out, and it felt like same old Tennessee in a lot of ways again on a big stage and not rising and meeting that moment. And Tennessee came back, outscored Vanderbilt 36-9 in the last 3.5 quarters of that game. Really, the last 3 quarters. And Nico Imaliava was tremendous. Maybe his best game as a Vol.
Yeah.
And now that his career as a Vol is over, we can look back and say it is the best game as a Vol. Tennessee's won 6 in a row in the rivalry. Vols have an 81-32-5 all-time advantage. I mean, first of all, look, there is no amount of – you could beat Tennessee 50-0 this fall in Neyland Stadium. It's not going to change the fact of who owns the rivalry and who, quote-unquote, runs the state. So you're making a promise you can't really keep. Here's my thing, Ramon, about Diego Pavia. Don't worry about Week 14 yet.
Right.
I don't have any issue with the trash talk. Honestly, this is probably where you and I differ on this. I have no issue with Diego Pavia taking some shots, because he earned the right to take some shots. First of all, he earned the right to take some shots at Virginia Tech, who's first up on the schedule in Blacksburg.
Yeah.
He's talked about Alabama, Ryan Williams, who's taken some shots back and things like that. You can talk your talk on that stuff. Here's the thing, though. They got to protect you to get to Week 14 healthy.
Come on, man.
And that's not a personal shot. That's not disrespectful from me and where I went to school. That's just the reality of the situation. Watch that Vanderbilt offense as the season went last season. They were a shell of themselves by the time Week 14 came around to play Tennessee. And we've talked to Chris Lee about it, and we've looked at the different areas that Clark Lee wants to elevate Vanderbilt this season. And the onus is on them to protect him. They have brought in a very veteran, experienced, better offensive line. Clark Lee and Jerry Kill know what they have to do. They've got to surround Diego Pavia with big guys and protectors that can get him through a season 100% healthy. But you also got to go prove that to me with a brand new offensive line. Diego Pavia, the way that he plays, as much as he runs, as much as he gets out of the pocket, takes a lot of big hits. And that wear and tear gets to you by the time Thanksgiving weekend rolls around. Don't focus on Tennessee yet. Just get to Tennessee healthy. And then say everything you want by the time Tennessee week rolls around. But the last time you played Tennessee, you were a shell of yourself, Diego, because you couldn't get through the season healthy because you take too many hits. Prove to me you can make it through an SEC season 100%, then we'll talk.
I think the bravado, to your point, is necessary. For a team that, to your point, that probably doesn't have the they probably don't have the idea of having an understanding of what it takes. Like, I do think, like, you can will yourself into being a badass, if we can say that, right? Like, there's a mindset that has to say, he is one. But where's everybody else that's got to back him up? And to your point, his ability, just the way I would speak about Tennessee's offensive line, your ability to protect him every single play to make sure that he makes it to the next week or can complete his passes to continue to talk his trash. That's the problem that I have with it more than anything, Will, is the idea that you don't get to control everything that you say you're doing, because you may have a heart of a lion, but there's probably some sheep roaming amongst you.
That's right.
And that's the problem. You don't know if everybody in the boat is riding with you on this one, because you may have a right guard or a defensive end that he didn't work the way he needed to when the season started off. And you are writing checks right now and saying a lot of everything else. I had a guy one time that I was talking trash to his defensive tackle. He was like, hey, can you shut up? I got to block this guy. It's because, like, he wasn't ready the way he needed to be in those moments.
Sure. That
type of stuff happened. And that's from the quarterback position, Will, I do believe. At the apex of almost any team, the quarterback is the guy. They'll go as you go. But you also got to know who you're dealing with and what you're up against. He's talking about running the state. So I decided to go look and see where Vanderbilt falls in this state as far as recruiting. Vanderbilt's first commit in the state of Tennessee for the 2026 class. Their first commit is the 28th ranked guy. Let's try moving up that level first before we start talking about running the state. When we speak about your ability to win football games, you had Tennessee 14-0 at your crib, and you couldn't close that out. And you still played and stayed in the game, too. To your point just a second ago, Nico Iamaleava had probably his best game as a college quarterback at that point. Right? And they banged them up a good bit. I got to give them that. What I do know is this. Clark Lee will try to have that defense as ready and as amped up as possibly can be. They will play spoilers. That is not a cakewalk game going into Knoxville this fall. But what you have done has added a little bit extra pressure to yourself to deliver. And not just deliver then, but there's, 11 other weeks that you have to navigate, to your point. This isn't just about Tennessee. And I understand that this is a sport in which you want to beat the in-state team, the Vols.
Yeah, right.
I get that. But this is a long race when it comes to actually getting that done.
You're trash talking about mile 26 of the marathon.
Yes.
Just get through mile 10 before we start talking about how fast you're going to finish mile 26.
And he can do that, to your point. But, boy, this doesn't make your job any easier.
Commenter on YouTube says, nobody makes it through an SEC season at 100%. That's a ridiculous standard to put him on. Yeah, fair enough. But also, he's got to be a lot closer to 100% than last year. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that? That's a reasonable expectation to say, yeah, sure, if you want to really nitpick, nobody's 100% like they are in the summer. But Diego Pavia wasn't close to it.
Right.
Last season.
No.
And there were concerns about him week to week for the last month of the season last year. That's the point. And for the commenter saying that, everything Vanderbilt has done this offseason in terms of its offensive recruiting in the transfer portal has been to protect Diego Pavia better. Jordan White, they bring in from Liberty. Bryce Henderson at tackle. They bring in grad school linemen who are old and who are experienced. You don't think Clark Lee knows how banged up his quarterback was at the end of the season? Sure, okay, he doesn't want to be 1,000 or 100%, fine.
Right.
But he needs to be a lot healthier and a lot better in week 14 than 107 yards and 45 yards on the ground he put up against Tennessee for them to have any chance. Any chance at all against Tennessee.
And the biggest issue, too, that Diego Pavia and his team has in front of them, they have no element of surprise as it pertains to that last week's
Teams
game.
know what they are now.
And the other part, by week 12, when they play the Vols,
you got
what can you hide from your playbook that's going to allow you? If this was, Tennessee, Syracuse, there's uncertainty at the beginning of the season, right?
For both teams.
Boy, you don't know what you're getting yourself into week 1. By week 12, everything's pretty much out the bag at that point as far as the offense. You can try a flea flicker and set a team up if you can have some movement, but I don't know if that's the case for a team like Vanderbilt. And then what's your depth like, right? Do you trust the depth that's behind guys? Because if the commenter's correct, then guess what? Somebody's going to get injured. Yeah. Where is your ability to be sustainable? And that's the issue as far as the comments go. You can say what you want to. I absolutely love trash talking. And that'll be in the back of my mind by the time we get to week 12. But, yeah, it's going to be so fascinating for him. He's got to show and prove. I'm not even sure if he's on a Heisman watch list right now.
No, he's not. He is a good quarterback on a team that's probably expected to be a 6 or 7 win team again.
Yeah.
Be a good season for Vandy.
I live that life. But there's no surprises this time.
No, there's not.
That's the other side of it, too.
There's not.
You didn't. What did we speak about last year with Diego? His toughness, a never die attitude. Well, teams now would probably have a jackhammer to that never die attitude.
Right.
They're going to hit you on every single play because of that, because they know, I know this. If I'm going against somebody and they're a major trash talker, I can't lose to them. I cannot.
You played a couple of those in your day, too, at both the college and NFL levels.
And you bury those guys.
Yeah.
You have to bury those guys.
The comment he makes about Vandy having the most NIL money, too. I mean, they're starting to spend a little bit. There's a war chest in Baton Rouge that would beg to differ.
Oh, my gosh.
There's a war chest in Knoxville, though. You don't even have the most NIL money in the state.
In Lubbock, right? Like,
yeah, no, it's just that. I like for Vandy fans that you have got someone that is galvanizing and motivating everyone in that building and facility to care about football in a new way. That is what matters if you are a Vanderbilt fan today. You have someone that has come in a short amount of time and has embraced you, your football program, and your culture to want to make Vanderbilt football cool in Nashville.
I agree.
And that's great for you. That is 100% great. I have no issue with him saying things to try to get more fans wearing black and gold in the seats versus the away team, because that's still an issue you're going to have. And as long as people want to come to Nashville and visit, unfortunately, that's an issue you're going to continue to have. But that being said, the team you threw for 107 yards against last year and the team at the end of the season that you got to be healthy enough to actually play as the best version of yourself probably is not the one I would take aim at and trash talk. Let's go to Ed in Spring Hill who wants to comment on Diego Pavia. What's up, Ed?
Morning, Ed.
Hey, good morning, fellas. How we doing?
Man, we're good. Good morning.
Hey, now, Diego, I guess I kind of like the fact that he's talking smack. Normally I wouldn't call in, but I'm going to give the Vanderbilt guy a little credit from this point that, hey, stand up for you guys.
Yeah.
But let's go back to last year. All right, we down 14-0. Ain't nobody really stressing, but the whole Vanderbilt coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
During that game, once we got our head out of our butt and started to play football, you know, they drowned out the noise. They didn't want to hear Rocky Top during that game, so you didn't hear it during the whole game. Yeah. Drowned us out in their home. But this year though, they come to Knoxville. Mm-hmm. It's not the right time to be talking this smack.
No, it's not. And that's the problem more than anything. They also got to go on the road this year. Like, and they can drown out as much as they possibly can. I love the back and forth. I love the rivalry at the baseball side of it got in it too. Like, that is huge. I enjoy it.
He's talking like he's a baseball player, not a football player.
You said, like, he can't get touched. Like, that's to your point. Like, bro, you are a protected commodity because of the referees, but not as much in college, though.
Right.
That's like, you can get pile drived in college.
So Vanderbilt's schedule this season, Mike asks on YouTube, who will have more wins this season, Vandy or the Vols? Vandy's got a tough schedule again. Because you've got to run back all those games you played last season as essentially home and homes with SEC teams. So you start with Charleston Southern at home. It's a win. You go on the road to Blacksburg to play Virginia Tech, and you go on the road to Columbia to face South Carolina. That's going to be a night game. That's either 6 or 6:45 Central Time in Columbia. You can get your revenge on Georgia State. You can get Utah State at home. Then you go to Alabama. You think they're not going to be amped up for that one?
Oh, I think that one's slated like afternoon, too.
That's a flex, so it's either 2:30 or 3:30 or 5 to 7 p.m.
Oh, wait.
So lights will likely be turned on in some capacity in Tuscaloosa. LSU comes to town. Much better LSU team than what you played last year. You didn't beat them last year.
Potential first-round quarterback.
Yep. Missouri comes to town. Missouri with Bo Pribula, the Penn State transfer at quarterback.
Who Vandy beat last year, too.
Right. You have Texas, who with Arch Manning.
In the hood, Arch Manning. They got Arch in the hood in Texas, man.
Wait, Missouri beat Vandy last year, by the way.
Missouri beat Vandy?
Missouri beat Vandy.
I read that wrong.
30-27.
Okay.
So you go to Texas. You get Auburn at home. Auburn with Jackson Arnold. I expect to be much, much, much better than they were last season. Kentucky at home on senior day, then you go to Tennessee.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder to get bowl eligible this season for Vandy than it was last year. They will be better, but so will a lot of their opponents.
Yeah. I do like this with Vanderbilt, though. I think it's great. He's the guy that they need. This is the attitude that they should be walking into a lot of situations. Like, they should have the angriest summer program, spring program ever.
I agree with you. The energy I have no issue with.
No.
I have no issue with trash talk in general. I just think you picked the wrong team to trash talk. And where I went to school or where you went to school has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that you threw for 107 yards against them, and they're in week 14. You got a lot of miles to go before you arrive in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wasn't there a little exchange last year between Clark and Hype? Or that was just, I felt like last year there was like a little bit of hate that exuded through, like that came through.
Maybe.
And I think that's natural.
I don't think there were any big issues between the two.
Well, I'll ask this question of you too, and I love to see it, and I can't wait to call it. If the Vols stuff them in a corner 50 plus, do you pull off?
Yeah, I mean, probably.
You do.
I think just the way Josh Heupel is. I don't know. I mean, trying to develop two young quarterbacks in Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre.
That's fair. That's fair. I put him in the corner.
615-737-1045 is our number if you want to chime in on the Diego Pavia words from the Vandy or Tennessee perspective. We'll take your call either way. 615-737-1045. Coming up, the final Hawkins Hockey Minute. We've got a winner in the NHL and in the Stanley Cup final. Everything you need to know next.
If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, gaining weight, or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Listen to me. Don't wait. Go ahead and find out. At Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked, and it's just a simple test, too. And with their on-site labs, you'll get your results back right there. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office at all. They're physicians. They specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy or TRT for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients, and super important, their personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. These aren't just basic standard treatments. Absolutely not. And for current patients, too, Low T Center offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. And at Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated for treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medication. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Ramon Will is fueled by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone. Locally owned near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. 615-737-1045 is our number. With Ramon Foster, I'm Will Bowling. We have a Stanley Cup winner in the National Hockey League, the Florida Panthers, for a second straight season, lifting the cup over the Edmonton Oilers. They do so in 6 games last night. Justin Hawkins, your over did not hit to finish off the NHL season, but the Panthers did get it done 5-1.
What a wild game last night. I didn't expect it to be pure domination from Florida. They just absolutely smothered Edmonton, winning 5-1. But yes, it finally happened, and it's only fitting that the over doesn't hit and then the Stanley Cup final ends. It's only fitting.
It's only fitting.
You lose once, might as well just end the series. So last night, the key has been the whole series. If you can shut down the duo of McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you're going to win. And that's exactly what happened. Connor McDavid and Draisaitl were shut down by two-way forwards for Florida, who's got some of the best, and Alexander Barkov, defenseman Seth Jones, former Predator. They played key roles in playing good defense, and they just absolutely shut them down. The other thing is Florida's got just much better depth, and Edmonton has got the star duo and not much else.
No doubt.
So, in some other news, you've got Florida center Sam Bennett winning the Conn Smythe Trophy. That's the playoff MVP. He had 15 goals, leading all skaters in the playoffs with 15 goals. Sam Reinhart scored a hat trick and added one just for good measure. He became the 6th player in NHL history to do so, and the first since Maurice Rocket Richard, who he literally has the Richard Trophy. For the Rocket Richard Trophy. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not know, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay, so it's the most scored the most scored goals in the regular season. That's what the trophy's named after. So first since 1957 to do so, Panthers goalie Sergei Bobrovsky had 28 saves. So it was a really good game, very wild ending. So I've got some other stuff for you that I'd like to. Edmonton, their hopes to keep for Canada's Stanley Cup hopes alive.
And the drought continues.
They got to wait another year. Ramon, do you know the last year that Canada won a Stanley Cup?
I've heard people brag to keep Canada in a drought, so it's got to be about 7 to 10 years.
1993.
Yeah, right.
Montreal Canadiens. 1993 beating the Los Angeles Kings.
32 years.
This ain't even our sport.
I was not alive the last time Canada won a Stanley Cup.
That's crazy.
I mean, granted, most of the players are still Canadian, but a Canadian team has won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I always think it's kind of a funny conversation.
Right.
It's like, well, I mean, just because it's Florida doesn't mean that all these players are from Fort Lauderdale and from Tampa. Like, half of them are Canadian anyway, but still, just one of their teams are.
Don't they get to take the cup around to like their hometowns and stuff when they win it? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like that trophy's going to be in Canada a ton.
It always is.
Yeah.
But just never for the actual team.
I heard last night too on one of the updates that like they empty netted at like 5 minutes left.
7.
7 minutes.
I said that yesterday too, though. That's a good way that the over would hit.
Yep.
Because you're going to empty the net sooner than you would otherwise. Because there's nothing to lose.
You literally have nothing to lose. And that's how Sam Reinhart got his hat trick. He had 2 empty netters.
Golly.
So Brad Marchand, the guy that leads the way once again, he won the Stanley Cup with the Bruins in 2011. 16 seasons in Boston. He was traded to Florida at 37 years old. Now he is a Stanley Cup champion again, leading the Panthers to back-to-back titles. The Panthers, known as the Rats, are the bad boys of the NHL, for lack of a better term. They have lived up to all of their trash talk, their style of play. They are entertaining. They're fun to watch for the neutral observer, and they are back-to-back Stanley Cup champs.
That's huge.
And I got 2 more things for you guys.
Okay.
As natives of Nashville and Predators fans, do we like Corey Perry?
No.
Will said no is no.
Hate Corey Perry.
Okay, so then you'll
he lost another Stanley Cup last night.
Exactly, you'll like this. So back in 2020, the Winter Classic, he took a cheap shot on Predators defenseman Ryan Ellis. Since then, Corey Perry is the only NHL player to lose the Stanley Cup final with 4 different teams, and doing so 5 times. 2020 with Dallas, 2021 with Montreal, 2022 with Tampa Bay, and the last 2 years, 2024 and 25 with Edmonton. He did win with Anaheim in 2007, though, but is the only NHL player in history to lose the Stanley Cup final with 4 different teams.
Golly, he's the Buffalo Bills of the
really
NHL.
hate that for him.
Yep. Serves him right.
Really hate that for him. That hurts me.
Yep.
That's tough.
A lot of heartbreak, but it's okay. I'm here
One of
for
the
it.
least liked players in the National Hockey League.
Is he like that?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Is he just like the goon out there or what?
Yeah.
He's okay.
For
He's
lack
what
of
you
a
call
better
the
term.
agitator.
I got to look him up
Yep.
there. I got to see.
So one more thing, as
Montez
the
Burfict look
NHL
like.
heads into the offseason, it's something worth monitoring. Connor McDavid has 1 year remaining on an 8-year, $100 million contract.
Gosh, he's going to love Nashville.
He's eligible for an extension. With their struggles the last 2 years,
All right,
losing in
Diego.
Edmonton, now he is a Canadian native.
Oh, yeah.
Does he stay?
I don't know.
How many
You
rings
tell
does he
me.
have? How many cups does he have?
None.
None.
He's the ultimate can't win the big
Exactly.
one player, though he won 4 nations against the U.S. because Austin Matthews had a nightmare.
Look, Edmonton has put a lot of money in their top duo there with Draisaitl and McDavid. And look, in hockey, when you have a $12.5 million salary cap or average value, you can't do much else.
You know, I heard Connor McDavid and his wife were looking over an MBA at schools,
But
actually, recently.
I thought they were looking at a lake house in Hendersonville.
Hey, we've got a number 97 gold jersey just waiting.
Connor McDavid is going to love pedal taverns on Broadway.
Hey, by the way, there is a lot of hockey that goes on in Hendersonville. Well, they got the outdoor skate
no,
park
the Preds
and
have done a
everything.
great job growing the game of hockey in Nashville.
Yeah, it is
Great job.
It's a nice outdoor venue
100%.
up there, man.
100%.
They were getting busy like 2 weekends ago.
I believe it.
2026 Stanley Cup champs, Nashville Predators. Conn Smythe winner, Connor McDavid.
Hey,
That'd be great.
speak it into existence like Diego Pavia does, right? I'm not.
615-737-1045, the number. The Panthers, Stanley Cup winners, will switch to another championship. What happened in Omaha yesterday? People are in danger in Omaha, Ramon Foster. Arkansas is going to play LSU again. We'll set the table for that. A Final Four in college baseball, plus a big recruiting nugget dropped by Austin Price on the show in hour 3 yesterday. If you missed it, we'll recap it for you coming up next.
Last time All-American Pest, All-American Bug Expert was at my house, good people, I asked them about the green things in my yard. Green things, I'm wondering. And he said, it's Centricon, and it's included in my Complete Care Max program, along with my mosquito misting, yard treatments, and pest control for my home. The ring of small stations work night and day to stop termites before they get into my home, and I have All-American's termite damage warranty. So if a termite does get in and do damage, they will pay for the repairs. I have a peace of mind with All-American Pest Control. Good people, again, if you want to enjoy your backyard, you want to make sure that, look, there's no bugs, no insects around your house, this is the company that you need to visit. All-American Pest Control. You can reach them at yuckbugs.com. That's yuckbugs.com. And be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
7:01. Good Wednesday morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios, and happy hump day. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Stanley Cup, it's staying in South Florida. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions as they dominate the Edmonton Oilers 5-1 in Game 6 and take the series 4-2. The Panthers are the third team in the last century to go back-to-back and join fellow South Florida native Tampa Bay Lightning, who did it in 2020 and 2021. Panthers center Sam Reinhart had an impressive 4 goals last night and became the 6th player in NHL history and the first since 1957 when Maurice Rocket Richard to have 4 goals in a game in the Stanley Cup final. Goalie Sergei Bobrovsky made 28 saves and Sam Bennett took home the Conn Smythe Trophy for the playoff MVP. Bennett was the leading goal scorer in the playoffs with 15 goals. And in the College World Series in Omaha, they're down to 4 teams. Arkansas last night eliminated UCLA 7-3 and Louisville eliminates Oregon State 7-6. Louisville will play Coastal Carolina this afternoon at 1 p.m. and Arkansas will take on LSU tonight at 6 p.m. Both games are on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning, Ramon and Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee, kicking off the middle of your week. Glad you have decided to wake up with us. Vols fans, Vandy fans, everything in between in the SEC melting pot that is Music City. We all come together as Titans fans as well anyway. 615-737-1045. Visit a locally owned Scooters Coffee location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Rhett Bryan at 9 a.m. today. Lots of Titans talk still to come. Going to talk about Titans players ready to make the biggest jump, Ramon Foster, from 2024 to 2025. Going to be a good conversation coming up in a minute.
No doubt. I'm looking forward to this one, man, because I love watching guys' careers take off and take that next step, man. And just the growth. Like, I used to always try to mentor a guy or two and be like, man, listen, if you do this, like, this is going to happen. And the ones that worked their butts off and stayed the course, you saw that payoff too, man. And next thing you know, they're up for a contract. One of those guys in particular before lately, was Deontay Johnson. He was pressed, Will. I'm talking about crazy pressed to just be the guy. Mm-hmm. And it finally happened for him, man, about like year 3, man, and I was excited for him.
I like it.
Yeah.
So we'll do that coming up here at 7:20. In the F&M Bang chat, you can join the discussion. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Frostbite writes it on YouTube on our Vols and Vandy conversation this morning and said, Vols can put in Will at QB and still win against Vandy. Trust me, you can't. We would lose.
No, I'm putting
I love Tennessee too much to put myself in at quarterback and lose a game like that. I am not athletic enough to beat anyone on Tennessee's schedule at quarterback. You know what? I'd be great at handing it off. I'd do a terrific job.
Might be all you need to do. What you talking about, dog? You know what sucks about that conversation though too is and it doesn't, because this is what sports is all about also, as we segue into the second hour. But here's the other part of it for me is if you talk trash, if we the Vols talk trash about Vandy, oh look at you, y'all are scared, and I'm just like, no, but like they threw the first rocks. Like they actually wrecked my car first. Like, this is what I have to do moving forward. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here and take it because you're trash talking? Like, absolutely not. Like, you run up, right? What is it saying? You run up, you get done up. Like, that's how it happens too. And we were joking a little bit yesterday. I was just like, well, when it comes down to us trash talking, and I'll just speak for myself on this, when it comes to me trash talking like Vanderbilt football as it pertains to it, like, yeah, there's been a domination. It's almost like watching the small kid get beat up by the big kid. Like, nobody wants to see that. Like, nobody really wants to see it. But if the small kids start talking trash, it ain't my fault that we're the big dog. Like, you're going to get these mitts too. Sure. That's how it goes. But don't pick on him. No, hell no. He started it, and he must get these hands. That's how it goes.
Yeah,
those are the rules, Will.
You played it for 11 years and for 4 in Knoxville as well, so you know a thing or two about trash talk on the football field, how these things
do
work.
it. I enjoy it. I embrace it. Absolutely. I tell my boys all the time, or anybody I'm coaching, you don't like it, stop it. That's how it goes.
615-737-1045 is our number. And yesterday, some interesting nuggets dropped by VolQuest's Austin Price here on the show. Tennessee hosting number one wide receiver recruit in the country for the class of 2026, Tristan Keys, over the weekend. He is committed to LSU. He was in an orange jersey. He's supposed to go back to LSU again. He's actually canceled an Alabama visit for this upcoming weekend, but actually did an interview with On3 yesterday talking about how mind development is going to take precedent over NIL, saying that still going to head back to the crib, in his own words, and continue to recruit guys in the LSU recruiting class, things that high school recruits say at this time of year. It's part of the process. But Austin Price dropped the nugget yesterday that Tennessee put themselves in a very good position for the number one wide receiver in the country over the weekend.
I thought it would be Tristan Keys. I mean, there were a number of guys I think Tennessee did really well with, but Tristan Keys is someone that had Tennessee out in front for the longest time, ended up committing to LSU for whatever reason, but has continued to talk to Miami, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and several other schools, has taken visits. And when you do that, I won't say you're not committed, but like you're definitely open to the possibility of not ending up at the school you're committed to. And so I think Tennessee's put themselves in a position there to potentially flip him. I think the next matter of weeks will help determine that. But for right now, I think Tennessee leaves the weekend feeling pretty good about what they've done with Tristan Keys and what they hope to continue to do as Kelsey Pope stays very diligent and consistent in message with him.
So that was Austin Price of VolQuest on the show yesterday. You can get him on the show Tuesdays at 8:20 and wherever you download podcasts after the fact as well. Ramon, considering the offseason Tennessee has had in its inability to get that big weapon wide receiver in the transfer portal, they get Mike Matthews back. So they kind of had to re-recruit the five-star they already had on the roster in Mike at wide receiver. But what is the significance of that in June, trending for the number one wide receiver in the country? How much does that move the needle for you or excite you right now for Josh Heupel?
A good bit. One is the seriousness of what recruiting is to get to the levels of what we spoke about, Tennessee into the Ohio State, that Texas level, to where they're competing on the field and in recruiting. And it may require Tennessee doing a little bit extra. It may require, hey, we're going to give you just a little bit more, or we're selling something that they don't have. And it seems to me Tristan had that weekend, this past weekend. But here's the other side of it, too. I do think you got to chip away at the rock to get these types of guys. Unless you're Texas teching this thing, then overpaying because you got a new billionaire in your fold, then you got to be able to sell something more than just, hey, the money side of it. And I think that's what Tennessee got ahead. And over the last 3 years, we've watched Tennessee slow recruit these five-star tackles. And the third time around was a charm. Tennessee's lost the Carnell Tate battle as of late.
The Ohio State receiver.
The Ohio State receiver. Last year was a guy, I feel like they ended up going to Missouri. Was it 2 years ago, too? What I'm getting at is this. Tennessee lost Francis Mauioga to Miami 3 years ago.
Who's probably going to be a first-round pick at left tackle
this year
in the NFL draft this upcoming April.
Jordan Seaton last year, I think, was on the line for
Colorado
the Vols.
tackle.
Colorado tackle. Lost to him. And then they finally got David Sanders last year. And he's probably going to be a starter this year. I do think you continue to chip away at this recruiting battle to prove that you are part of this big football equation as it pertains to the college football playoffs, and that your future is brighter because you have a guy like Faison Brandon coming in. You got George McIntyre right there too, and the offense is fit for guys to be productive. You start to get these types of guys that pay more attention to you too. They've been recruiting Tristan Keys since the 8th grade. So I think, they're closer. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to close because it's LSU, but they're closer.
If they can get 2 out of 3 between the 5 stars they are trending well for right now, Ramon, in Savion Hyder, who is the number 1 running back in the country, who is slated to be in Knoxville this weekend.
Which is big.
Big deal.
Hub didn't think he was going to take the trip, did he? Or was he always?
I don't know. I think y'all may have had that conversation while the week I was out.
So, yeah.
So, Savion Hyder expected to be back on campus, number 1 running back in the country. Tristan Keys, the LSU commit, was just on campus. Austin Price telling us yesterday Tennessee is putting itself in a pretty good position to have some continuing conversations, let's say at the very least, with him. And then you got Darius Gray, 5-star interior offensive lineman, who you have had on campus and you feel like you're in a pretty good spot with, according to Austin as well. You get 2 out of 3 of those 5 stars. That's not even considering some of the defensive guys, because there are some edge rushers and there's some defensive players that are in the mix. Gabe Asenda, the tackle out of Baylor, is a 5-star in the 247 sports rankings, number 19 player in the country. And according to 247, Faison Brandon, your quarterback commit, is the number 1 player in the country, regardless of position.
Right.
We are talking, and I try to always broaden recruiting conversations this time of year, because I know you guys, many of you guys listening, don't get into the weeds of this. Here's why it matters to you, the Tennessee fan or SEC fan. This could be a foundational class for Tennessee. Yeah. Tennessee seems to be in the mix for more 5-star talents right now in the 2026 class that it has been the past couple of seasons in terms of, Ramon, they're in the final 2 with Michigan, with Clemson in the past couple of seasons, with Alabama, with Ohio State, for a lot of these guys in a way that they weren't even just 2 years ago. We'll see if they can close. You're right, because it doesn't count like horseshoes and hand grenades being close with these recruits, but it is going to be really interesting to see if this 2026 class is different for Tennessee, if they can be the bride instead of the bridesmaid for many of these 5 stars. I think Savion Hyder might be the one they have the best chance with, but again, like, it's one thing to get these guys in June. It's another to finish the job in December. And we saw how that went with David Sanders last year, when at the very last minute, we thought Ohio State might be making a big-time push for your now starting right tackle in Knoxville.
You know what helps even more, too? The draft picks. Like that, like watching Dylan Sampson, even as a 4th-round draft pick, I think he's going to be a part of a 1-2 tandem in Cleveland. Seeing that production play a part in it, too. Like, you're backing this up with guys also going into the draft. And I felt like for a while, Tennessee couldn't do that, to say, hey, we're putting guys on teams in the NFL. You come here, you're going to chase your dream. That was one of my biggest things as whenever I committed to Tennessee was I'll have the opportunity to go to the NFL at some point because of what Tennessee provides me.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing more and more of that. And that is a huge tip of the cap to Coach Heupel and his staff for developing guys and getting them ready for it, too.
Not time to spike the football yet, but potential for some big progression and adjustments in this 2026 recruiting class. We'll see what happens.
And real quick, too, the other part of, like, for the teams that are competing for the national championships, you mentioned, like, getting 1 5-star. David Sanders was the one last year.
Yep.
You know what the teams that are getting? They're getting, like, 3.
Yeah, you got to get multiple.
Yeah.
Right now, according to 247, you have 2.
You got 2.
In Faison Brandon and Gabe Asenda. According to On3, you just have 1.
Yeah.
In Faison Brandon. I think Tyreek King, the receiver from Catholic, is going to continue to rise. There are a lot of people really high on him.
And that happens.
Really high on him.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Right.
It's the same way Jordan Ross got his 5th. Later. Yep, sure was.
Later in the game. Coming up today in Omaha, a Final Four, Ramon Foster, in the College World Series, LSU-Arkansas with a rematch. Today at 6 o'clock. LSU needing 1 win to make the national championship series. Arkansas needing 2. Coastal Carolina only needs 1 win over Louisville, while the Cardinals need a couple as well. That one at 1 o'clock. A very fun Final Four. We are guaranteed again to have an SEC team playing for the national championship in college baseball.
Coastal's just cruising.
Coastal is cruising, man. 25 wins in a row. I hope the Shants get it done.
Oh, my gosh.
They're fun to watch.
Louisville's fun to watch, too. They're the cardiac boys. I tell you that.
Yeah, they are.
They are the cardiac boys.
Their late
man.
inning magic has been fun to watch. So
and
that's what you got up today in Omaha.
That Arkansas bullpen is delivering. They are delivering big time right now. So this is fun, man. I ain't going to lie to you. I'm enjoying this Final Four. It's been good baseball, too.
615-737-1045. Which Titans players will make the biggest jump from 2024 to 2025? We'll answer that for you next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Do you have some electrical issues? Well, available 24/7. The Lee Company team handles electrical problems and more in short order. Hey, when something wrong is happening around the house, those electrical problems, I'm just going to end up making it worse. It's the fact of the matter for many of us, right? We get behind those wall switches. We start to unscrew some things, start to mess around ourselves. It's just going to make things worse. Well, from routine repairs on outlets and switches to fixture upgrades and generator installations, the Lee Company award-winning electricians, they get the job done right the first time. They're not going to make things worse. They're going to be there quickly, efficiently, and make sure everything's running the way it's supposed to around the house. Contact Lee Company for all your home electrical needs at leecompany.com. These are the folks that I trust, and you should too. leecompany.com to schedule with an experienced electrician. They are online, leecompany.com, or call them 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company, all you need. Continue in hour 2 on your Wednesday morning. Ramon and Will, brewed by Scooters Coffee, 615-737-1045. Visit a locally owned Scooters location near you. Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. About half the Titans roster, Ramon Foster, is under 25 years old.
Yeah.
As we enter the summer and enter the break with training camp just over a month away, there are some guys that are going to have to make a jump from 2024 to 2025. And I think the Titans know, I think we know, I think the fan base knows. You cannot address all of your needs in one offseason under a new general manager and a new way of thinking with Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi. So that being said, some unproven guys are going to step up, maybe even some proven guys step up you still believe in, who you want to be different versions of themselves from last season to this season. Which Titans player will make the biggest jump from last year to this year? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. 615-737-1045. Ramon, where do you begin in talking about a player who you think makes a big leap from last year to this year?
It's got to be in the top 10, Will. And it starts with a guy I was taken in the top 10. That's J.C. Latham. And I expect this for this reason right here. I went through and looked at his pre-draft analysis from last year and what they said about him. It was written up by, who was it written up by? It doesn't matter, I guess, at this point. Oh, Lance Zierlein. And here's what he said, and I like to look at the negatives because the positives is what everybody know and love about you. That happens. That's natural. What you're good at, all right, whatever. Like, at this level, how can you minimize what people will try to exploit? And I think JC's taking that step to do that because of his weight loss, because of a year of rest on his body, more rest on his body this year, and just a better cerebral understanding of what it takes to compete in the NFL, on top of you moving him to, I would call, his playing natural side. Like, he may want to be a left tackle, probably had dreams of doing that, and they put him there last year because he was capable of doing it. And he was serviceable until he hit, in my opinion, I think that rookie wall a little bit last year.
Right.
Everybody in the building have spoken about it. Callahan brought that up from time to time. You've spoken about that. The reason I'm picking him is this. If you can just for a second listen to some of Zierlein's negatives or weaknesses that he had about him. I think he's somewhat attacking it because of the weight loss, because of more rest on his body, and a better understanding of the same offense. He puts in there average recognition and plan for pre-snap pressures. Well, who does he have as a coach that's more mental than anything? That is Coach Bill Callahan. He also says he opens his outside shoulder early and sets too deep in the pocket. Well, guess what he can also do now? Move a little bit better because of it. He says, beating inside over and over on sets. We saw that a little bit of last year. Oversets to speed. Well, why would he overset to speed? Probably because he was a little bit too heavy. Right? Now he has the ability to be agile in space. And then the other side can be impatient into this first contact as a run blocker, causing him to lunge. Below average lateral quickness for backside cutoff blocks. Weight loss, right? And then the last one, inconsistent early entry angles make it tougher to seal and sustain his work. You know why that's caused? Probably because he was a little bit heavy even then in his evaluation product. Sure. Him losing this 20-plus pounds of weight makes him more agile. Put him on his natural side or the right side, Will. You say to yourself, with the weight loss, more rest this offseason, I'm sure he's increasing his flexibility as it pertains to it too. And the mental side of understanding how to play NFL football, plus I got to add to one of the most important signings the Titans have had. Kevin Zeitler next to him.
Sure, at right guard.
That, to me, Will, is a recipe for this young man is going to take a huge step this year.
So when you talk about a tackle who is better suited to play right tackle, we've talked about that a lot with J.C. Latham moving from the left side to the right side. Yeah. Why is he better as a right tackle than left tackle?
Because he's a power guy, in my opinion. I'll just start there first. Teams usually cater to run into the right side if that's necessary. That's usually your stronger side.
Okay.
And the reason I think he's better suited to play is because it's what he's always played, right? Like
in college.
In college is what he's always played.
He was a high school left tackle.
And I think he's a front side guy more than anything. Like, I look at JC as the Charles Barkley, right? And that's fair to say. I don't look at him as Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, comparing, like, Hakeem is a little bit more fluid and natural and good with his feet. Like, JC to me is a bruiser, a brawler. And when you have the ability to put him on the right side of the offensive line and make that we're going to beat the heck out of you side, that to me is JC's game. You see it in his strength. You see it in how he works out, and you see it in his attitude, too. So for me, he's a front side offensive lineman, and that's not a knock. That is Lane Johnson to me, right? He's in that conversation. He can be in that conversation of a Panay Sewell.
I think he certainly has the skill set and the ability to be that. I think the interesting part about his conversation and weight loss and hitting that rookie wall, he gave up 4 sacks after week 12 last season.
Yeah.
All of them to AFC South opposition.
Yeah.
J.C. Latham struggled against the AFC South last year, but when you look at why, well, you played 5 games against the division after week 12. So those teams that got to see J.C. a couple of times got the best of him.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Pro Football Focus, his worst game of the season was in Houston in week 12 when the Titans won against the Houston Texans. 29.2 pass block grade. That's out of 100. 2 sacks allowed, 3 hurries, 5 pressures in that game. He gave up 2 sacks to Houston, according to PFF, in week 12, 1 to Jacksonville in week 14, and 1 to Jacksonville on the road in week 17. That is going to be a big point of emphasis for JC, is understanding how to better protect your quarterback against edge rushers who know you, against teams that know you, and against defensive fronts that are pretty dang good. And I think if there is one strength that this division has, Ramon, it is pass rushers and it's front sevens.
Yeah.
Houston's got a great one. You know that Jacksonville might not always be great as a team, but they're going to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, buddy.
With Josh Hines Allen and with
are.
Trayvon Walker, with the different additions they've made in that front seven. In Indy, DeForest Buckner.
Yep.
The different ways, Leatu Latu, the different ways they can get after you. Dio Dengbo has been that guy for them.
Exactly.
I know that some changing personnel in Indy, but still you know that you're going to play good front sevens 6 times a year when you face AFC South opposition, and that is where J.C. Latham has got to be better. He has got to take a jump in the film study and in the ability to, hey, we play a lot of division opponents again late in the season. I want to be the best version of myself against the opponents that know me better than anybody.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you also talk about seeing his opponents 2 times. That's the cerebral part of it, where they spoke about coach making them watching 2 hours of film of bad plays and stuff. This is where he gets better this offseason to me, where he realizes this isn't just let me line up and beat you up type of league. I need to be well conditioned. I need to be at a weight that I'm very comfortable at, and I need to be able to sustain it. That was to me one of the biggest learning curves I had was, look, this isn't just about beating somebody and pancake blocking them. No, can I do it again and again? And I think JC's really helped himself this year in this offseason by setting himself up for a camp. And not just that, though, too, Will. The first game of the season is in a high-altitude place. Like, that plays a part into his.
It's significant.
It's very significant against that style of defense, man. So I think JC takes that leap, though, because of how last year ended more than anything, Will. And to your point about the quickness of those guys rushing, I think he'll be well-suited this year with the footwork and just his overall demeanor and natural talent anyway.
615-737-1045. If you want to give us a Titans player you think makes a big jump from 2024 to 2025. For me, Ramon, it's James Williams on defense. I think James Williams, as of today on June the 18th, is the leader in the clubhouse to start next to Cody Barton on this Titans defense. It is not time to declare who's going to start. Heck, it's not time to declare who is going to even make the roster. So take this with a grain of salt for where we are in this part of the offseason. This time last year, John Ojukwu was your starting right tackle. Didn't make it to week 1 as your starting right tackle. So all of this is subject for change, and I think there's a guy in Anthony Orji coming out of New Orleans at inside linebacker, the former Vanderbilt player, who is going to have something to say about this as well, who we may be counting out a bit. But for the sake of conversation about James Williams, even if he isn't the quote-unquote starter next to Cody Barton,
Right.
to me, he makes the biggest jump because he is a specialist in an area where the Titans are thin. Coverage linebackers, covering the middle of the field. I think the Titans can be a lot better covering the middle of the field on defense this year than they were last year in the run game and the pass game, with Kevin Winston Jr. getting up to speed in the back end of the defense and with James Williams in the middle of the defense at linebacker. So if you're unfamiliar with James and his story, he's got an incredible story as a guy who played at American Heritage School in Plantation, Florida. When he goes to Denver with the Titans, he will be playing against the son of his high school football coach.
What?
Pat Surtain Sr. was his high school football coach. Of course, Pat Surtain Jr. in Denver, star defensive back. He helped American Heritage to an 11-2 record, first team all-county in an area of the country where being first team anything is significant. Transfers out, comes back to Heritage for his senior season in high school, leads them to an 11-2 record, the 2025A state championship in the state of Florida. Again, you're winning a state championship at any level in the state of Florida. You're pretty dang good. This guy was the number 4 recruit in the state of Florida. 5-star coming out of high school in the class of 2021. One of the 3 players ahead of him, J.C. Latham. Dallas Turner, one of the other ones. Number 15 recruit in the country, the highest ranked recruit in Broward County history at the time when he came out of high school. This guy has always been an athletic freak. Well, at Miami, Dan Brugler wrote in The Beast, tall, stretched out frame, outstanding length, light-footed athlete, explosive first step out of his transitions. Functional zone cover skills, can locate the ball as a hook and curl defender. Wide receivers are aware of his presence on crossing routes over the middle. He can carry tight ends across the field. So Dan Brugler of The Athletic wrote a couple of years ago, he is a tweener athlete more so than a seasoned football player, but he is a full throttle enforcer. A unique skill set that will intrigue several NFL defensive coordinators, projecting as a robber cover 3 scheme guy, offering versatility in sub packages to blitz or match tight ends. That is the kind of specialist you want playing, 2/3 of the snaps?
Yeah, absolutely.
And your second inside linebacker is not going to play the same volume of snaps as your counterpart green dot 3-down guy. Cody Barton is going to play a large percentage of the snaps for the Titans this upcoming season. James Williams, I think, is a specialist, played 111 snaps on defense last year, 264 snaps on special teams. Cedric Gray played 48 snaps last season. I know the 4th-round pick out of UNC has a level of experience playing the position, but not at the NFL level yet. And I think if you're the Titans, you hope that James Williams can grow into a stud inside linebacker, because as a converted safety, he fills a role you don't have in someone that can cover tight ends and roam the middle of the field as an enforcer. The Titans did not have that enforcer over the middle of the field, really at any level past Jeffrey Simmons and Devondre Sweat last year.
I wonder if James Williams had played linebacker his entire time, would he have been a higher draft pick too? Because to your point of everything you said, like the pedigree is there. His ability to be good in space has been there. Miami just chose to have the Loch Ness Monster at doggone safety, man. And that, to me, I think could really help him hone in on his skills on the NFL level, playing the middle of the field, man, being able to be good in space. But not just that, well, his body type right now, as they have it on the Tennessee Titans website, is 6'4", 232. Like, this ain't a small individual. What's unique about him is his ability to also play off the ball, because he's an elite athlete and has been proven that, and be able to, in a Denard Wilson-style offense, move him to the edge of the line of scrimmage to where he could rush off tackles if he has that in his toolbox, too. Right. I hate to compare him this, because this guy's accomplished so much more in his life, his career, but, like, this is very Keith Bullock-like to me.
It is. 100%.
I'll be quite honest with you. It 100%. Reminds me a little bit of Ron Shazier, although he's bigger than Shay. But, like, Shazier had the ability, like, you know how big Shazier was weight-wise?
I don't.
About 225.
Wow.
And what's in my...
He played bigger than that.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And I do know this. James Williams has that physicality. I've seen it. And the fact that he's on special teams, he understands how to attack, too. So, to me, if you can have him be, even as a 6th-round draft pick, your starter for the future, like, you see these guys that coaches speak about that are tweeners, and you say to yourself, he's going to be something if James buys in more.
These are the kinds of players who get chances to prove themselves in a rebuild.
Yeah.
James Williams, if you were in a position where you felt like you could compete for the division and make some noise right now and plan on, hey, we want to go for it in 2025, James Williams would be the kind of guy that would play 10 to 15% of your snaps and maybe not 60 to 70% of your snaps. But when you are in a rebuild, you throw guys bones like this who you feel like have a level of potential that is worth investing in and finding more about. I'm not going to guarantee James Williams is going to be perfect and polished as an inside linebacker this year, But of the guys I think, Ramon, this staff believes in who will play bigger roles this year than last year, he is number one on the list. Yeah. I don't know how successful he will be right off the bat, but he is a guy I'm really fascinated to watch, and I think Frank Bush really likes him a lot. When I asked Frank Bush about him a couple of weeks ago at the beginning of OTAs, asked where can he still improve? What does he need to learn? Frank Bush will be honest with you, a lot. He's still got a lot to learn about the position, but the fact that he is getting the first crack at it next to Cody Barton means that they believe enough in him this time of year to give him the first opportunity to play next to the guy that you signed to be the leader of your defense. To me, Ramon, it answers a question that we ask all the time. How often do coaches have a player they are kind of secretly rooting for to win position battles? I think the Titans are rooting for James Williams to be that guy because of the different and unique skill set that he brings to the table.
Yeah. And my bad, he was a seventh round draft pick, too.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with you on that one, too. And here's what I also say. The fact that Cedric Gray didn't jump out on the scene as a starter, as a contributor, not even a starter, as a contributor, James had the ability to earn some trust, earn some reps, get some film from coaches that like what they saw and that probably wet their whistle a little bit more than what they have seen from Cedric Gray. But I will say this, too. I think this is the best matchup and battle that you can have going into training camp with both of these guys, with Cedric Gray and also with James Williams, because I'm not sure if you remember last year, like Cedric got into a little bit, like from time to time, was in the mix scuffling with guys, like trash talking, like in the mix when he had to go in and play from time to time. But two young dudes in the same class that are battling for one spot of playing time, you're going to get the best out of them, or you should get the best out of them, considering who their position coach is and Frank Bush, too. But in my personal opinion, considering how much of an athlete that you have James Williams be in space, and not just that, Will, the wingspan, the ranginess of it. That is a threat, man, that can just be Weapon X almost in a sense.
The scouting report from Dane Brugler when he came out, James Williams of the draft, said that he is often caught overrunning responsibilities against run and pass. If you can simplify the game a little bit for James Williams and have him be a heat-seeking missile next to someone in Cody Barton who you are confident knows where to be and when to be there, you free up James Williams to allow him to be that aggressive and freelance a little bit in a way that I think could be a good fit on this defense. I don't know how well it's going to go. I can tell you with confidence, James Williams is going to have a bigger role in this defense this season than he did last season. 615-737-1045 if you want to get in on the discussion. Was reading A2ZSports.com yesterday, Ramon Foster, and Easton Freeze had an interesting piece about how Titans fans may be in for a surprise when this one player ends up making the 53-man roster. Someone we did not talk a lot about yesterday when we talked about locks to make the roster. We'll tell you who that is next.
You can upgrade her ring this summer with no money down and 0 interest for 5 years. Don't miss this killer offer from Genesis Diamonds, where they're giving you 5 years, 0 interest finance until the year 2030. And not just on engagement rings either. Also on earrings, bracelets, bands, colored gemstone jewelry, pre-owned Rolex watches. Buy now, pay nothing down, and spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. So that $5,000 gift comes out to just about $85 a month. And that luxury pre-owned Rolex starts at about $150 a month, man. This is an insane offer from the jeweler that's always finding ways to bring you more value. All GI certified diamonds are included in this. They're rounds, princess cuts, ovals, pear shapes, cushion cuts, emerald cuts. Whether you get a $5,000 diamond or a $50,000 diamond, you can spread your payments over 5 whole years. Lab-grown diamonds are also included in this. You get the Genesis value price on anything. Pay 0 down and spread your payments over 5 years. But hurry, this is a limited time offer. This ends June 30th and will not be extended. Genesis Diamonds, they're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Wrapping up the first half of the show here in hour 2 of Ramon and Will. We are brewed by Scooter's Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Colin from Easton Freeze last night at AtoZSports.com says that Titans fans may be in for a surprise when this player ends up making the 53-man roster, Ramon Foster. How surprised would you be if Thomas Odukoya was on the team when the Titans' 53-man roster is made official at the end of training camp?
How shocked would I be? He's been around a couple of years. I'd look at it and say he's really worked himself into it. Pleasantly surprised is what my answer is, Will. Like, he's earned it. He's been around for a couple of years right now and kind of grinded himself a little bit. What his specialty is, I couldn't tell you, but I'd be pleasantly surprised, Will.
Easton writes at AtoZSports.com, the Titans had Nick Vannett involved regularly on offense last year despite being tight end 3, and it was because he played the inline blocking role for them so well. Titans only kept 9 linemen on their initial roster last year, going light at OL, having serious issues in pass protection, and running a relatively diverse run scheme led them to leaning on Vannett's dirty work quite often. Easton Freeze continues to write, says, I think they're going to want that kind of player again in 2025. Chigakonkwo, Josh Wiley, and Gunnar Helm are all receiver types first. There was once a time that there was hope for Wiley to become more of a balanced, traditional wide tight end, but I think that hope, Easton says, is gone with the coach and GM who picked him in the first place. Thomas Odukoya is the best option in that room to fill that role right now, and for that reason, Easton Freeze says, I think he makes the team. The question becomes, is it as the 3rd tight end or the 4th tight end? Easton writing, not predicting it happens, but Titans have 3 pass-catching tight ends. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Titans move a depth veteran option like Josh Wiley in a trade with another team to acquire depth they need at another position. If you could get back, Ramon, inside linebacker help, edge rusher help, a corner, are you open to a Josh Wiley trade if it returns you immediate depth on defense where you have holes?
Royal, heck yes. Okay. Like, I'm running to the front of the line on that situation, especially because I have a young guy that plays that same role as it pertains to what Josh Wiley has done, and that is the hope of the new guy. This is why it's so important for young players to come into this league and understand it's very transactional. Like, I know NIL and the portal is in college now, Will, but if you don't stake your claim early in this league, you will be a trade value or cut somewhere. And in my personal opinion, that's why I think Josh Wiley is this year. And the fact that he's not a run-blocking tight end, too. You have to have that guy, especially when you play this type of offense that the Tennessee Titans is, which is still run the ball. They got 2 valid running backs. Will, yes. Sign me up for that one. I say that with all due respect because to be traded means you're not cut.
Yeah.
He'll get a job somewhere else is the way I look at that situation.
Josh Wiley played in 17 games last year. He started 4 of them, catching 28 passes for 248 yards and 1 touchdown. As a rookie in 2023, only played 11 games, dealt with injuries, had a concussion, made 3 starts, had 9 catches for 94 yards. So in 2 seasons, Josh Wiley has played in 28 games. He has 37 catches for 342 yards. Not a significant level of production so far.
No, it's not. Our good friend, Stoney Keeley, you seen this comment in our YouTube chat?
Yeah.
He goes, 10-4 hat time. John Njoku is going to be the jumbo package tight end this season. You know what that also does, though, to you, and I'm with you. He's been that guy checking in. You see him running in and out. But it also handicaps your offense just a little bit more, too. Knowing that offensive lineman probably is not going to catch a pass.
Right.
Yeah. And it makes the defense hunker down a little bit more, too. You might get hit him with a play action, but where's the threat of the pass catcher in that moment? And that's where, to me, David Martin Robinson or the Thomas Odukoya have to be those guys when it comes down to keeping this offense balanced and unpredictable. I think with a rookie quarterback, there's a lot that you're not allowed to do because you're trying to protect him, too. So having known characters on the offense can be problematic for a guy like him.
Sure. Thomas Odukoya at 6'6", 253 pounds, someone that has not contributed yet for the Titans, but has been a developmental player that they have cared enough to keep around. I mean, to me, I feel like it's less likely you're going to trade Josh Wiley to get ahead of the waiver claim on someone because you're already number 1 on the waiver claim.
You're first up.
So if you were in a position where you were back of the line or even just a little bit further back the line, and you felt like you wanted to be right in position to get edge rushers that are likely to be cap casualties or cut candidates in training camp, you would maybe make this deal or make a deal to swap picks or send a guy that you don't think is going to make your roster or someone you could do without in order to get ahead of somebody getting released.
Right.
But you don't really need to do that because you're top of the waiver claim. So that's why I don't think a deal like this is likely. I don't think the Titans are going to trade Josh Wiley to get out in front of someone picking up someone that they want because they have the first crack at anyone they want.
But that's the thing, though, too. If there is somebody that's trying to offer you a 7, whatever the case may be, for any tight end, Arthur Smith always wants a new tight end, right? What has Josh done to warrant him being cut and not being picked up immediately? To your point about his career, he's been injury riddled as far as concussions and other things that have happened to him, or even coming out of the games early. There's been that side of being on the sideline. He comes out of games at times. His availability is lacking. And to that point of who do you go with, they've been developing Odakoya, DMR. It's that side of it too. And sometimes all it takes is an opportunity. And I feel like Josh got his for the first 2 years and hasn't taken full advantage of it. And now there's a new shiny toy in town by the name of Gunnar Helm. And it seems to me that he's going to be an inline blocker plus a weapon offensively too. So there has to be balance to this, man. So it sucks, but this is the business.
615-737-1045 as we reset the headlines for you. Diego Pavia with a lot to say about Tennessee. Question for Vols fans. In football, not basketball, not baseball, in football, where do you consider Vanderbilt among your top rivals on the football gridiron? We'll talk about that next.
I've got a huge announcement from Two Rivers Ford, man. My good friends at Two Rivers Ford. Spent some time with them yesterday, man. But just in, Two Rivers Ford is now offering employee pricing for everyone. That means you pay what they pay on almost every new vehicle, every new Ford on the lot. At Two Rivers Ford, what you see is always what you get to. They don't do things like add those expensive accessories or tack on service packages to increase the price of the vehicles. Absolutely not. Two Rivers Ford is upfront and honest every single time, and now they're offering you employee pricing. There's no better time to buy American, and there's no better dealership than Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years and home of the non-commissioned sales team. And now home for employee pricing for everyone. From America, for America. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
It is 8:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champs as they dominate and smother the Edmonton Oilers last night in Game 6 and take the series 4-2 by beating the Oilers 5-1. The Panthers are the third team in the last century to go back-to-back Stanley Cup champs. The Panthers center Sam Reinhart did his part last night with a hat trick and added another goal for good measure. Reinhart became the sixth player in NHL history and the first since 1957 to have 4 goals in a game in the final. Goalie Sergei Bobrovsky made 28 saves, and Sam Bennett took home the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. Bennett was the leading goal scorer in this year's playoffs with 15 goals. And today in the College World Series in Omaha, we have the Final Four. Louisville will take on Coastal Carolina this afternoon at 1 p.m. and Arkansas will take on fellow SEC native LSU tonight at 6 p.m. Both games are on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you've got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Ramon Will, fueled by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone into the second half of your Wednesday. 615-737-1045 on Twitter at Ramon and Will. You follow Ramon Foster at Ramon Foster. I'm Will_Bowling. Justin Hawkins is our producer. 615-737-1045 is our number. You follow him at jhawkins_20.
That is it.
That's right. 615-737-1045. Curious to hear from Vols fans, Ramon, to begin the second half of the show.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about Tennessee versus Vandy. Diego Pavia saying that after this year, Vandy will run the state of Tennessee in football. At Ramon Will, or you can tweet at us. I'm curious where Vols fans rank Vandy among their top football rivals. Because I think Nashville native Vols fans will have a different answer to this than our out-of-town listeners.
Yeah.
Who stream us on the 104.5 The Zone YouTube channel or Zone TV. But you can call us to let us know. Tennessee fans, where do you rank Vanderbilt among your rivals? 615-737-1045. Ramon, for you as a player, where was Vandy in the hierarchy of Tennessee football rivals?
They were lower to me. I didn't think much of them as a player, to be quite honest with you. The reason I would consider them a rival is because you got to beat them. You know that if you don't beat them, you're going to never hear the end of it for the entire calendar year. And even after you beat them the following year, you'll hear, well, we still beat you guys. I never forget like losing to like Jay Cutler. You know what I'm saying? Like that was, you never lived that down in a sense. So like it's a rivalry because if you don't win, you'll never hear the end of it. It is a loud crowd when it comes down to them beating you more than it is you beating them, which is like I said, Diego's saying what he's saying. He's supposed to. But it's very problematic. If you beat them down, beat them to hell, then guess what? Oh, well, it's just what you guys are supposed to do. No, you can't have it both ways. So for me, they are in that rival conversation, and you have to beat them every single time.
Yeah.
You have to.
Let's hear this Diego Pavia audio again, Justin, if we can, if you missed it. Diego Pavia, the quarterback at Vanderbilt, on Bussin' with the Boys with Will Compton and Taylor Lewan, talking about running the state of Tennessee.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year. Like, this is going to be the new staple of, like, college football. It's going to happen here at Vanderbilt.
Do any of you and the boys ever, like, talk about that? Like, we got to be the state school.
Well,
we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the Music City. Like, we need to be the brand of Tennessee.
Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. So they want to come to Nashville, so Vanderbilt. And then when we have, like, the most money in NIL, like, why not come here? So, like, we literally just have to win this year and throughout the rest of the year. It'll take care of itself.
You think Vandy will have the most money in the game? Or
I think we'll be up there.
Yeah.
But, like, it's Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters around here.
Yeah.
They just need a team to believe in.
Yeah, that's all they need.
They need Diego Pavia.
So that's Will Compton with Diego Pavia, Taylor Lewan on that podcast interview as well. He did backtrack pretty quickly, Diego, talking about, we got the most money. And Will asked him about it. You think you have the most money? Well, we're up there. Well, that's different than having the most NIL money, Diego.
Stop. Like, that's a different conversation.
So, to me, we talked about it earlier this morning, if you missed it. I don't have an issue with trash talking. It's June. We're all bored. I guess quarterbacks are too. Football players are too.
I'm a little fired up behind it. You bored, but I ain't on this one. I want to smash him right now.
I'm not bored with this. I'm just bored in general because it's June and I'm ready for football season. But Diego Pavia didn't pick the right team to trash talk here.
No.
Because Tennessee held him to 104 passing yards, 45 rushing yards, and 11 carries in a 36-23 loss, where the Vols outscored Vandy 36-9 at the end of that game. I would just be careful looking ahead to Week 14 when you were barely healthy enough to play Week 14 last season. Vandy has remade its offensive line and has done everything this offseason to protect Diego Pavia better than they did last year. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to be the triple option team and you want to be the let's put the game on the legs of our quarterback team, you have to be prepared for that guy to take a lot of hits.
Yeah, buddy.
And Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt was not close to the best version of itself on offense last season by the time they played Tennessee. And a college football playoff berth was on the line for the Vols. I'd be more focused on trash talking Virginia Tech again.
Facts.
Or Alabama again, who you beat. You have a leg to stand on there. You barely physically had a leg to stand on by the time you played Tennessee last year because you weren't 100%. And again, like we talked about earlier, nobody's 100% by Week 14. I get it. But he wasn't even close, Ramon.
No, he wasn't.
Last season. And the way that offense is run, just get to Week 14, then we'll talk. Then we can do some trash talk.
You know why I love offensive linemen? Because we just like to just set fires and watch it burn at times because we don't get much entertainment. Like Vandy Man put it in our chat too, on our YouTube chat. You can check us out there and interact with us too. But he said the boys adding fuel to the fire.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Oh, my gosh.
There's no doubt.
You heard the laugh at the end of him saying, like, they need Diego Pavia. Then he starts laughing, like, tell little one, you really ain't nothing. He just like me, Will. We just want to have a good time, man. And it's at the expense of Vanderbilt at this point.
So Alex writes in on Twitter, says, as a Vandy fan, I think most UT fans like to pretend they never think about Vandy, but deep down their whole psyche would be crushed if they lost. I love that Diego is talking noise. We need more bravado and hate in sports.
I just acknowledge that. I just, who was it, Chris you said
Alex.
That? Alex. I just acknowledged that. Like, I acknowledge that Tennessee and Vanderbilt is a rivalry. I acknowledge that Tennessee must beat Vanderbilt. I acknowledge that if Vanderbilt beats Tennessee in football, you never hear the end of it. And I'll also say this too. Kudos to Diego Pavia for stepping into it. Leaning, I'm talking about same foot, same shoulder, knocking somebody out with comments like that. But here's the thing. You can't also, Alex, at the end of this, say, oh, we're Vanderbilt. No, if you get your face smacked in, okay, then you got to acknowledge that you wanted to win that game. You have to also acknowledge that, look, you just lost, okay? I'm not going to get very disrespectful in this. But what I'm saying is this. You can't be barking up that tree and get mad when that tree fall on you either. So when we beat Vanderbilt, you can't be of the mindset, well, it was close. No, you got your face handed to you, so you got to sit there and take it. Don't back that up by saying, well, oh, we're not there yet. No, your quarterback and your fan base want that win. And just because you can't get it, guess what? Sit on it then.
Was it a competitive game after it started at 14-0 last season?
You can't throw rocks and then like, oh, my bad. No, I hate that type of fan. Don't do that.
So the way I was raised in Nashville my whole life, I've never lived anywhere else than Nashville or a couple years in Knoxville for college and 1 year as a kid. I had a different hierarchy of rivalry, Ramon, than the people I knew in Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
Very different because I was from here. So I do agree with Alex that Nashville native Tennessee fans want to beat Vanderbilt much more than people that don't grow up here. Because we got to hear about it.
I agree.
We got to go to school and work on the off chance that Vanderbilt beats Tennessee in football.
Mm-hmm.
We got to hear about it from people that are very loud for the next year. And that's rivalries. I agree we need more hate in sports, by the way.
I'm with you.
100%.
Yes.
The way I have it for Tennessee on where Vanderbilt ranks in rivals, and we'll get to the calls on this in a minute, and Will and Wilson who are on the line, Alabama has always been number one for me. It always will be. Florida is number 2. That's pretty untouchable as well. Georgia's number 3. I think Georgia's the third biggest rival growing up for Tennessee, I'd put Vandy fourth.
Yeah.
I'd put Vandy next. Where I think most Tennessee fans would have it, they would put Kentucky fourth and then put Vandy fifth. I think, and I know a lot of people, both as athletes, as a student, as someone that I lived in Knoxville in 2005 in second grade growing up. And it was very interesting to me, even then, growing up as a kid in school, how little people in Knoxville cared about Vanderbilt football.
I agree.
That's not taking a shot. That's not me trying to be disrespectful. That is the fact of the matter. It is different for those of us that grew up here because we got to hear about it. There aren't Vandy fans in Knoxville. There aren't Vandy fans in East Tennessee. There aren't Vandy fans in Memphis. There aren't Vandy fans in Johnson City or Kingsport the same way there are here. So, yeah, I will admit that I think there is more of a rivalry for Nashville native Vols fans and grads. Nobody outside Nashville cares. I promise you, nobody outside Nashville cares.
My four rivalries, and we'll take these calls in a second, I guess, if they hold on with us. But I got Bama because it's the litmus test of are you or are you not? That's the way I look at them, plus the third Saturday in October. I got Kentucky second. Just because there's a beer barrel behind it, right? That rivalry's been there for a very long time, and that's the team I never lost to. And then I got Florida, and then I got Vandy. Georgia's new to me. Georgia wasn't really a rivalry to me while we were in college. Like, I think we split games 2-2 with Georgia, but like Georgia is, I think their rivals are what? Florida, Tech, Auburn. Like, I don't look at Tennessee, Georgia as the big rivalry. I look at them now as you got to climb that mountain to prove that you are just as good as they are. Like, it'd be good if the Vols got them. But mine were Bama, Kentucky, Florida, Vanderbilt.
Fair enough.
That's kind of the way I looked at it. And Kentucky's probably too high for a lot of Vols fans.
Will first up, 615-737-1045. What's up, Will?
Hey, guys. I grew up in Kingsport, so, Will, I appreciate you giving us a shout-out.
Absolutely.
But I definitely I fall, like, Vandy's fifth for me behind Kentucky and the list that you mentioned. Now, when I was in school there, like from 2012 to 2016, we were getting beat by Vandy some. Like, they definitely hopped up the list. Like, I couldn't stand it. But then, to your point, my wife is from the Mount Juliet area, and she doesn't understand why I just don't think about Vandy that much because, like, she definitely does. So, well, all the points you said definitely ring true in my household.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate the call.
Appreciate that, Will.
I think there's a lot of truth to that for a lot of Tennessee fans. And again, this is just football. If we're talking basketball, Vandy's probably the second biggest rival behind Kentucky. We're talking baseball, they're number one.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, there's involvement.
This is purely a football conversation.
We go to the same dance with Vandy.
The series is 81-32-5.
What series?
81-32-5. We had a Florida fan comment earlier and said, this is how Florida fans feel about Tennessee. Well, that series is 32-22. That's not quite the same thing as 81 wins compared to 32 wins. Let's go to Wilson next. What's up, Wilson?
What up, Wilson?
What's up, fellas? So, I grew up in Nashville, too, being a Tennessee fan. So I was born in the 80s, started watching football in the 90s. And, all due respect to Diego, who's a great player, but Vanderbilt was a victory lap for a long time in my life. And so it's really hard for me to see it as a rival. I mean, it's an SEC school in your same state, so de facto from that point it becomes a rival. But you had a fan saying that we like to pretend like we don't think about them, and then if we lose to them, we're crushed. No, that's Kentucky to me. Like, I don't think about Kentucky football until I see us behind the scoreboard in the third quarter, which that also doesn't happen because if you look at when I grew up with Tennessee football playing Kentucky and Vanderbilt at the end, they were both victory laps, and that's basically how I look at Vanderbilt. And so whenever they pop up and they're good at football, it's cute, but I ain't really worried about them from a rival standpoint.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call, Wilson. Thanks, sir.
That's about it. So to be fair, they need this conversation. I ain't going to say they need this. This conversation is healthy for Vanderbilt and the fan base in general.
If you want to weigh in, give us your thoughts on the phone, 615-737-1045. We'll get to Tony first up when we come back. Where does Vandy rank, if you're a Tennessee fan, in terms of football rivals? Has Diego Pavia changed that a little bit for you? Maybe not, maybe so. Plus, some conversation about a Cam Ward documentary series. Our teammate Buck Rising had an interesting column at A2Zsports.com about it and how he doesn't like it from Cam Ward's perspective. That we'll talk about that next. Understanding the Nashville real estate market is tough. Whether you're a local like me or you just made your way to Middle Tennessee, you want to find that new home. It is a challenging process. Maybe you're like me too, and as you're walking around the neighborhood, driving around your neighborhood, you notice that same house with the for sale sign with dust. It is just sitting there. Nobody is in or out. Can't sell the home because the market is so tricky. It's difficult. You need a local agent with years of experience on your side. It's Will Bowling here. I want to tell you about my friend Bernie Gallerani and Bernie Gallerani Real Estate, who guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he'll buy it. That's no risk to you. Bernie will let you out of the contract at any time. He is the real estate agent who has the 30-day guarantee to sell your home. So you got to start by knowing its true value. Head to BernieGallerani.com. See what options are best for you. You need a local agent with years of experience. That's exactly Bernie Gallerani. 615-428-2644. He's so confident, he's going to give you his personal cell phone number. 615-428-2644. The only real estate agent in Nashville recommended by Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank. Get my friend Bernie Gallerani on your side. Call him at 615-428-2644 or online at BernieGallerani.com. Hour number 3 and second half of Ramon and Will here already. We're fueled by Scooters Coffee, caffeinated and opinionated on this Wednesday. Visit a locally owned Scooters near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Going to talk about Cam Ward and documentaries, but before the break, talking about Tennessee and Vanderbilt as a football rivalry, where it ranks for Tennessee. You can chime in on Twitter at Ramon and Will and follow the show there. Or call us at 615-737-1045. Tony is in Alabama next up on this topic. Hey, Tony.
Hey, good morning, Will. Good morning, Ramon.
Morning.
So, Will, you're spot on, man. It depends where you grow up. I grew up my entire life in Nashville, Tennessee, as the grandson of the former Alabama football player growing up as an Alabama fan. Tennessee was always the biggest rival. Now that I'm in Alabama, I never grew up with hatred for Auburn like most people have down here, because I didn't have to live around Auburn fans my whole life. And now I'm married to an Auburn grad.
Oh.
My daughter's a freshman at Auburn.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's a difficult kind of mixed marriage I got going on here. But
I hope
you're exactly right.
I hope they treated you well on Father's Day weekend, man, at least.
Yeah. Beating Tennessee was way more important to me as a kid growing up. Going to Hunters Lane High School when my coach walks out on the football field every day saying, "It's football time in Tennessee." You're killing me.
I love it. I love it. I like it. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate the call. I think it's a great point. And I think it's also the era you grew up in. Because I think for some people, I think for most Tennessee fans, Florida's probably the top rival now, right? Just because of how much Florida has had Tennessee's number in the Peyton Manning days and in a lot of the 2000s and 2010s and Tebow and Chris Leak and Urban Meyer, beyond Steve Spurrier and the jabs that he would make at Tennessee, also being a Science Hill grad and being a Northeast Tennessee native. Like, for my dad and for a lot of that era of people that went to Tennessee years ago, sorry, Dad, I'm not trying to make you feel old this morning.
Be cool.
Auburn is the second or third biggest rival for a lot of Tennessee fans, because for a lot of Tennessee people that grew up going to Tennessee in the 70s and 80s, Tennessee would play Auburn every year.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different. Like that, I think it's okay to have different lists, but the top two is Florida and Alabama in some order for Tennessee.
Florida and Alabama. Definitely the Florida side of it, too, just like you said, because of the trash talking. And then also before this breaking up of divisions, like you had to go through Florida for the most part, at least in my era. The early 2000s, it was you win the East, then you're in it, right?
It was that part of it. Like when the SEC expanded and when the SEC championship essentially came down to who won between Tennessee and Florida this year to make the SEC title game. It changed a rivalry that was pretty one-sided and actually pretty dormant. Like Tennessee and Florida have not played that many times. No. In the grand scheme of Vandy, Kentucky, and Bama as the old school rivals. Like Tennessee and Florida, that series is 32-22.
And see, Auburn never registered to me. Right. You know the reason Auburn registered to me is because we had a bunch of Alabama State players on our team that didn't want to lose to them. For sure. So I understood the hate there, but I'm of the mindset that, like, it starts with Bama for me. And it's because of how good Bama is that if you can beat them, you're in the show. And that's proven to be real the last few years.
100%. Switching gears, Ramon, talking some Titans this morning. Have you heard about this Cam Ward documentary series?
I've seen, bits of it.
Tubi is going to have a 6-part documentary titled Zero Star, The Cam Ward Story. Variety with the report, acquired by the free streaming service Tubi. The series, what's funny about Tubi? Just sounds weird? Sounds funny? Tubi or not Tubi?
Tubi's a very discount production.
Okay.
Yeah, more than anything. Like, Tubi movies are when you see the main character in there and then you see their stunt double, like, they don't blur it out. You see, like, it'll be
I'm not familiar with Tubi's game.
It'll be a black actor with, like, a white stunt man, and you see the white stunt man there. It's like, whoa, wait. And then it's like, if there's a shooting scene on there, you'll see the blood explode, like, 3 seconds later instead of in real time. Like, that's Tubi's stilo a little bit.
So that is going to be about Cam Ward's journey from zero-star high school recruit to the Titans' #1 overall draft pick in 2025. Buck Rising, our teammate and friend on 104.5 The Zone, writes at AtoZSports.com that this is a mistake for Cam Ward of the Tennessee Titans. You can read that full column at azsports.com. We'll retweet it coming up here in just a minute from @Ramon Will. Says Buck Rising on A to Z Sports. It is the latest example of marketing a Titans quarterback before their NFL production warrants it. Buck, to just give the full context, writes, make no mistake, Ward's story is a fascinating one. It is also thoroughly documented at this point and certainly not worthy of a multi-part series equal in length to Michael Jordan's The Last Dance. Ward had one Division I offer out of college, path through Incarnate Word, Washington State, to Heisman Trophy finalist at Miami, created the ultimate competitor. Tennessee is relying upon to help save their franchise from their most recent appearance as the worst team in pro football, yada, yada, all these things. Buck, again, context before we pick this apart, because I think we're about to, says, if it was one episode, I would complain significantly less. 6 parts is ridiculous, Buck Rising writes. When Tiger, the rise, fall, and epic comeback of global icon Tiger Woods only required 2 parts on HBO. Ward's status as the number 1 overall draft choice and his path to get there is compelling enough, but in pro sports, narratives are earned through performance and not your collegiate name, image, and likeness valuation. We'll pause there. Ramon, what are your thoughts on Buck's column and points so far?
It seems to me Buck cares about the Tennessee Titans. That's first and foremost.
Well, yeah.
I mean, not in that sense, because Buck seems to be more on the other side of the tracks than he is like pro Titans optics and stuff like that. Is the only reason I bring that up. Like, Buck's point to me is be cautious when you do these types of things and expose yourself, Cam Ward. I think there's a point to be made a little bit, and I think you and I are probably going to be on separate sides of this too, which is amazing. Let's go.
Really?
Yeah, because I'll say this. Buck is, I think, being cautiously aware of what this could look like for a guy like Cam Ward. I think he's saying to himself, like, your story is unique. Your story is really cool, and people need to be motivated and inspired by what you're doing. But pairing yourself up, and I'll say this too, with a brand like Tubi, who is of the mindset of like very discount, very cheap, very bootleg, I think is what somebody said in our YouTube chat. It's almost as if they're pulling more out of Cam than Cam will get from them. It seems to be a bag attached to this, because if it's a 6-series documentary, that's kind of dragging it out just a little bit. For a guy, to Buck's point, like I said, been very cautious about how you market him is more advantageous for them than it is for Cam. It's just a lot of exposure into the idea that this guy is, that Cam Ward is the ultimate zero to hero conversation. Situation when it comes to how you expect his career to be with what the Titans are expecting him to do also. I think it's a little bit projection on Buck's part to be cautious about it when almost everybody else is doing this too. Now, the issue that I have with it is, when are they going to be releasing this? Is this throughout the duration of the season?
No.
Is this just training?
No, this is just what's already happened.
It's already happened.
6-part series. So Tubi in the release talks about how each episode in Zero Star explores a pivotal moment in Cam's life. From being passed over at regional camps, to his record-setting season at UIW, to the media frenzy around his transfer to Miami, and ultimately to his unexpected Heisman run. The series follows Cam to the NFL draft, capturing the emotional weight. Sorry, I lost my place for a second. Emotional weight of a family that never gave up, and the raw payoff of a young man finally being seen. There is no mention of him being followed around by cameras during his rookie season.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
That's where I think Buck has totally missed the mark on this, with all due respect to Buck, who does a great job, and I think does a great job covering this team and talking about this team. He is missing the boat on what the point is. This is not Will Levis marketing himself, and he makes the comparison to Levis in his column that we'll read in a minute. The comparison to Levis getting endorsements and getting NFL publicity before he really earned that franchise quarterback tag and that publicity. I think this is just an example of Buck, an NFL person, not being interested in a college football story. This is more about Cam Ward, the college football player, earning the right to be the number 1 pick than it is about Cam Ward becoming an NFL quarterback. Buck is an NFL person. I also think Buck is bored in June, to be quite honest with you. I think if we had football to talk about and watch like we did a couple weeks ago, this never gets the light of day. With all due respect to Buck, I think he's bored writing this column. So Credit to him. He got us talking, so he did his job.
Absolutely.
And I'm not critical of the method of what Buck is trying to talk about, because I think he has a point that Will Levis was anointed marketing opportunities and anointed the face of the Titans and the face of Nashville football probably before he earned it last year. But make no mistake, this is not the same thing. This is a 6-part series about college football and the draft process. This is not Netflix quarterback following Cam Ward around his rookie season.
Show how great he is.
I would maybe see his argument more if that was the case. To follow Cam around and say, we're going to all access with Cam Ward, rookie season. I could see that point. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
Unless I'm totally missing the boat, and I don't think I am. This is the story of getting to this point, not what happens from here on out.
Yeah. If that's the case, then cool. But to having read through Buck's article, it's almost as if he's just being cautious about the exposure. To your point, like, he's now an NFL quarterback, right? He's also now in a different world. The path from zero to hero is an awesome documentation to be done. If this is 6 episodes about Cam Ward, that is a lot of content. And I feel like also exposure to his life and how he got to that point. I'm not sure what all they're going to be exposing in this documentary when it does get released. I think in August is when the release is supposed to be done. September.
Yep, debuts this September. Yep.
At the start of the season. To Buck's point about, hey, you're in a position to just create waves with your play on the field, do that. I somewhat agree with that part of it.
I agree.
Yeah. But to your point of it being, hey, this isn't about the Titans. This is about a guy.
It's more about Miami than it is the Titans.
It's almost like Slumdog Millionaire in a sense.
It's the pathway to become a Tennessee Titan.
That's fair. But again, the only pushback I have to Buck is this on that one. He's the number 1 overall drafted quarterback in this class. There was going to be somebody somewhere that's going to do that, either Under Armour, who he signed with, or a company like this that's trying to attach himself to the number 1 overall quarterback to show that, look, he's a marketable guy. This is a story that everybody should hear. I think there's more from this for Tubi than it is for Cam in that sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, and the way Cam Ward is wired, I'm not worried about him having attention or the limelight get to him.
Yeah.
You spend 2 seconds around Cam Ward and you talk to people who are spending time around Cam Ward. The guy's wired a little bit differently, and I mean that in a good way. He doesn't care.
I agree.
He's going to get paid, but I don't think he cares about the attention. The guy just wants to play football. What Buck continues to write at AtoZsports.com is, Will Levis is a cautionary tale for Cam Ward. Buck writes, look no further than the quarterback Ward was drafted to replace. Will Levis was penciled in as the team starter in 2024. Nothing would have made Tennessee's 3-14 finish because of near-weekly Levis meltdowns more palatable. Watching Levis's nationally broadcasted Hellman's Mayo commercials continue on major broadcast networks for a period of months after Levis was unceremoniously benched added insult to injury for many. Levis made the decision to launch the campaign in his own custom mayo-scented fragrance, Will Levis No. 8 Parfum de Mayonnaise, during August of that year. What followed was Levis cratering so badly that he and the franchise became a total joke in the process, Buck Rising's words, with weekly reminders of their collective failure in the form of mayonnaise ads. Ward's docuseries is not a total parallel, of course, but the same principles apply. Buck finishes up and says, win games first. Let your play on the field do the marketing for you. Maybe then an actual audience on a legitimate platform like Prime, Apple, HBO, or Netflix can be invested in the journey. Lack of interest in a career that hasn't even started yet, relegating your story to a few hundred folks on a Titans Reddit page, Buck says, will get your 6-part docuseries sent straight to DVD, parentheses, or to Tubi. He makes a point that it's not quite the top-level platform.
No.
I'll at least give him that. But should Cam Ward learn from any of Will Levis's mistakes in terms of marketing himself last year?
I do think there's a separator, though. This isn't a market. To your point about it being his pathway to this point, that's very interesting. That's very inspirational, too.
I agree.
Who chose to sell it or who chose to buy it or pitch it for him? It was Tubi. They're first ones up in this one. Now, I do think there's a portion of Cam Ward's pathway to this point that needs to be heard by a lot of different people. There are more Cam Wards out there than there are J.C. Lathams. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the point to be made here. Now, again, this isn't a Mayo or branding campaign like Levis did, or I'm looking to be Nashville's darling. I don't think Cam has aspirations for that, or you know what I'm saying, to aspire to be Will Levis type. If he balls, those other brands will come. I know Buck said this will be a Netflix or Apple movie documentary if he does ball. Now that is also true, but I do side with Buck just a little bit to where watch how much you expose yourself early.
Yeah, I think that part of it's fair.
Yes,
I just don't think this is that.
Yeah,
He talks about when Buck says win games first, let your player on the field do the marketing for you. Well, this is more of a college football and draft preparation story. So he did.
He did.
Cam Ward won a lot of games. He did let the play on the field do the marketing for him, so much so that somebody wants to do a 6-part documentary about his Heisman Trophy season. This is, again, I just think Buck has totally missed the point of what this documentary series is actually doing. It's following different moments in his life, including being passed over at regional camps, a record-setting season at Incarnate Word, Washington State, leading to Miami, his run for the Heisman, and then cameras followed him to the draft where he was selected by the Titans.
Yeah.
And also the part of this, too, is that, like, the guy's been overshadowed so much by Shedeur Sanders and by Travis Hunter. I mean, quite literally, ESPN was moving away from watching him hug Roger Goodell because Travis Hunter had just been essentially picked by the Jags. Somebody can do a story on him, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, his draft moment got taken away from him. Like, do we just want the guy to totally be throwing footballs in the dark here in Nashville and then have to earn all of that again? Like, he earned this by being the number 1 overall pick. I don't get it. I don't think this is the same thing at all to Mayo commercials.
Yeah, this to me will be if Teddy Bridgewater had a documentary on how his leg was shattered, right? Like, or Alex Smith did it for ESPN in a short series. I think Buck's biggest issue is this story could have been told, but I lean to that side of saying this though too. There's a lot of inspiration in what Cam went through. I do think the production company that's filming this is probably the biggest knock on it more than anything,
right? From
the optics of it.
If you're being critical, Tubi being the platform it's on is probably the biggest negative of all.
But you know what you get with Tubi? You get it for free. That also is lockstep with how Cam Ward is in general, too. To me, seems to be the people's person as it pertains to his career and how people can relate to him, too. Yeah. It's deserving. I saw somebody say it in the comment. So him going from a 0 recruit to a first-round overall isn't worthy of a documentary? It absolutely is.
It's not something that happens.
No, it's not. Not number 1.
No.
Not number 1 overall.
No, exactly.
Yeah, he deserves that. I will give him that. So if you're telling me somebody want to package up my story and sell it, I'm probably going to get in bed with him for sure. As long as we're not talking about, hey, how great I'm going to be as a quarterback in the NFL. That's a totally different conversation.
Do you have any issues with Cam Ward and his team having a documentary about him before he ever takes a snap for the Titans? 615-737-1045. Your reaction next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, man. Nobody wants to deal with a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical emergency. Most of the time, we don't even know what it's going to cost you or if it'll get fixed right. Y'all run into those problems all the time, man. It's just like, well, it'll take another part. Well, guess what, man? If someone's trying to sell you something, upsell you something too, it's not the things that Hiller do either. If you have any of those issues, whether it be plumbing, heating, cooling, or electrical, they will get it right because their motto is happy you'll be if the service is free. That's a lot of pressure into delivering every single time, but I'm here to tell you, Hiller does it every single time they come out to your house. They've been here for over 35 years and are family owned and operated too. Their techs are professional, experienced, and trustworthy. And when they're on the way to your house, guess what? You get a photo of that tech and a link to track them in real time so you can see when they're arriving at your house so you're not waiting around for anything. So to learn more or to book with Hiller, simply visit the website that I use. Go to happyhiller.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Wednesday morning on Ramon and Will, fueled by Scooter's Coffee, 615-737-1045. Do you have any issues with Cam Ward being a part of a 6-part documentary about his lead up to being the number 1 overall draft pick? That's what you're going to get on Tubi. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Mike in Cleveland calling in, I believe, to defend Tubi. What's up, Mike? Oh, thank you. You may now proceed. Good to hear from you. It's been a minute.
I know. You know, I just sit back in the cut, you know what I'm saying? But I'm feeling good today,
All right.
so I thought I'd call in, you know.
Thanks.
Nice to talk to y'all.
You too.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but hey, man, let's get to the point at hand here real quick. So tell me you rich without saying it. Tell me you got streaming money without saying it. Okay? All right, what y'all hating on Tubi for, man? Tubi is the corner bootleg, man, that had all the gems before Hollywood videos. Okay, like what are y'all talking about? Tubi has all the classic black shows that's not, you know, they had it first. Yeah. That's why Netflix and all of them picked it up, because they saw the great ratings that Tubi was getting. Tubi is for the real ones. All right? Like, y'all don't know how to find hidden gems. I tell you right now, Tubi's lineup, Demolition Man, 90s movie. Yo, man, I just had to call and tell y'all, look, just because y'all got money for 13 streaming services, some of us love Tubi, and we watched the Super Bowl on Tubi, and it was fantastic.
That's crazy, Mike.
So maybe y'all should, you know, get a little in tune with the streets. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All right, deuces, y'all.
Thank you, Mike. You slandered it more than I did. I want that on the record. I don't even know anything about Tubi or anything that's on there.
That's the biggest issue. I think it is. It's just like buying Big K or Sprite. Like is Dr. Thunder versus Dr. Pepper is essentially what it is. That is the biggest hiccup. If this was Netflix doing this, everybody would love it even more. But I do agree. This is more accessible to everybody. For people who are 0 stars or just want to watch an inspirational movie, this is going to be very available to you, to where you don't have to pay for this or borrow somebody's login. That's what Tubi's going to be. But I also said this too. This fits Cam Ward. Cam Ward is of the people in a sense, right? There are more Cam Wards out there than not. So that's why it fits.
My other issue is I just don't watch movies. It is a who's who of movies I have just never seen. Never seen.
Let's see, like Kev says, stand up when you preaching. Like,
yes, Tony Keeley, our good friend, Football and Other F Words, is all in on this.
Yeah.
All in on this.
Get that man tickets to a concert.
Big Tubi guy.
But that, again, Cam fits what the Tennessee Titans need. Even for the folks that were pearl clutching last week of him dropping the F-bomb. Like, this your fan base. Cam fits that in every sense of the word. In this Tubi documentary of his walk up to being the number 1 overall pick, this is on brand.
I just found a list of the top 100 movies, best free movies on Tubi as of January.
Do I need to read them or can you?
I have never seen one of these. I've not seen a single one of these. There's 100 movies on this list. I've not seen one of them.
Listen, Tubi's making money. Do you hear me well?
I mean, I don't doubt it.
And I guarantee you, Cam got a nice bag. I guarantee you from Tubi. Tubi's going to use this to catapult themselves into a different world.
I'll watch it.
Can't wait to see it.
Jason up next with a Tubi defense. What's up, Jason? Jason, go ahead.
Jason.
This is David.
Jason, you're on, bud.
Jason.
All right.
Oh, boo! Tubi, right there.
That was
a Tubi call.
Tubi just got knocked down a notch because Jason wasn't ready. So the top 10 movies, according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Let me hear.
100 best free movies on Tubi. Honeyland. Sorry, I
bet I know what that's about.
Angry Men. 12 Angry Men is second.
Okay.
Rye Lane. 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know what this is. This looks like a bad word. Can I say Gunda?
Gunda?
Gunda? I don't know.
Okay.
Couldn't tell you. It chronicles the unfiltered lives of a mother pig, a flock of chickens, and more. I'm not going to click for more. Annie Hall is 5th. In This Corner of the World is 6. Nosferatu, 7. Bull Durham, 8. Okay, I'm familiar with Bull Durham. Riders of Justice is 9, and A Fish Called Wanda, 10.
Hell yeah. A Fish Called Wanda did. I wanted to actually keep it as a pet or fried, though.
You'll have to watch to find out.
These movies are hilarious.
David, the one on the phone lines. Hey, David.
Hey, guys. Morning, first of all, but hey, TV is the way to watch some TV. One of my favorite shows of all time is on there all seasons, which is Good Times.
Yeah.
You can watch every single show on there.
Oh.
You can go back and watch a lot of old shows. There's a lot of good movies. You got to learn how to hit that little search button to find what movie you want to watch.
And Tubi
go ahead.
You watching the Cam Ward documentary on Tubi when it drops too?
Oh, absolutely. Cam's the man. And I mean, why? Tubi, you don't have to pay a dime, and it's great entertainment. I've seen so many great movies on there. You just got to search, and you can find most anything on there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, David.
There it is.
It's more about just me not being a movie person to a fault. It is my biggest flaw. I've got plenty of flaws, but that's the biggest one. It's not something I routinely do. I love TV shows. Love TV shows. I'm just not a movie guy.
I just love the fact that David wasn't what the voice I thought it was going to be, and he watched Tubi too, if you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
We had range between Mike and David. Range.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Let's get out of here before we say anything else about that.
I love you, David, and I appreciate that.
Rhett Bryan joins us next. Hey, it's Will Bowling for my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Hey, are you headed to the beach or pool this summer? If so, you might benefit from water-resistant hearing aids. And maybe if I'm not describing you, I'm describing someone in your family you've been going on that summer vacation with this summer who can't hear as well as they used to be able to. Maybe you've been outdoors at a wedding, a party. Maybe you're just outdoors at dinner, sitting at one of those outside tables at a nice night in Middle Tennessee, and you're realizing you're hearing more of the conversation behind you than you are the one in front of you. Well, the doctors of audiology at Brentwood Hearing Center have the latest hearing device technology to fix that, including a water-resistant hearing aid that will also help you hear in those situations when you're splashing around in the pool, in the ocean, you're outside sweating, mowing the lawn. Maybe you're at a wedding or a funeral. You're outside this summer. Give Brentwood Hearing Center a call, 615-377-0420, or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Find out what sounds you have been missing with my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. 615-377-0420, Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life.
It is 9:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Justin Hawkins. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions as they dominate and smother the Edmonton Oilers 5-1 in Game 6 and take the series 4-2. Panther center Sam Reinhart did his part last night with a hat trick and added another goal for good measure. Goalie Sergei Bobrovsky for the Panthers made 28 saves, and center Sam Bennett took home the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. Bennett was the leading goal scorer in the playoffs with 15 goals. In NBA Finals news, Indiana Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton reportedly needs an MRI for a calf strain that he suffered in the first half of Game 5. His status for the rest of the NBA Finals remains unclear. Game 6 tomorrow night in Indianapolis with tip-off at 7:30 on ABC. OKC is favored by 6.5 points. And in College World Series in Omaha with the Final Four, Louisville will play Coastal Carolina this afternoon at 1 p.m. and Arkansas to take on LSU tonight at 6 p.m. Both games on ESPN. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to go to USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into the fourth and final hour, the middle of your week, your Wednesday, and if you like us, off tomorrow for Juneteenth. Feels kind of like Friday. It's not really Friday Junior. That's Thursdays. We've decided, Rhett, it's Friday the 2nd today.
Friday.
I like that.
Friday the 2nd on this Wednesday morning. Ramon Foster, Will Bowling, Justin Hawkins, Rhett Bryan joining us in studio. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you fellas?
We're good. We're good. Good time had last night at Mic Check with Taylor Zarzer and Titans Radio, presented by Two Rivers Ford, and some Titans Radio partners in the building. A lot of 104.5 The Zone teammates, and a great panel with yourself, with Coach Mack, with Amy, with Taylor, and I'm ready for football, Rhett. I know there's a lot of time that needs to pass, a lot of work to be done before football. Yeah, because
Taylor said, I'm just ready. I'm ready to go for September 7th. I'm like, I shared that feeling, but I'm glad we're not there yet because there's a lot of stuff to do between now and then. No, it was a good night. I wanted for Titans Radio sponsors, for Zone sponsors, just to get to know, and our staff to get to know Taylor a little bit more and what makes him tick and what's he like. And of course, he's an incredibly nice fella. And I think the chemistry's already there for the new look Titans Radio crew. But it was good. And Fat Bottom Brewery, thanks to them for being gracious hosts. That was a good time last night.
You gave some of the best advice I felt like last night too, right at the closing of it too, and because Taylor Zarz is here now. And he's been busy. He's multiple tasks that he's been handling, and but this is a big thing though too, as far as like being the voice for the eyes and the mind of people that will be listening to Titans Radio for the Tennessee Titans. And you gave the best advice I thought last night. It was just like, it's not just looking at the numbers. Like, look at some tape and figure out body styles. People walk, how guys walk on the field, because when you're up in that booth or you got to watch from a higher point. Like, you got to be able to tell who's who so you can give the call, like, fluidly. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was great advice. It ain't just the numbers on the back of the jersey. It is the hair, how they move.
Sure.
What side of the ball they play on and stuff like that. That's super unique.
Well, but I don't know that we've discussed this. Maybe we did last week when we talked about the announcement with you, Will, but I'm on a spot for him.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll be... but that's always been my exercise. That's the reason that every training camp practice, every OTA that I'm at, any mini camp, I'm taking role. And it's not to see who's there and who's not and who's dealing with an injury. Yes, that's a byproduct, but it's more about, it's like human flashcards.
Yeah, right.
To get yourself ready for the exam. And like you said, shapes, sizes, gait of walk, facial recognition, So, but yeah, and that's the way that it gets me sharp on, where's so-and-so? Oh, yeah, he's right there.
Right.
What's funny is I was talking to my wife like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, can you tell who's walking in the house by the step pattern? And like to your point,
Yeah,
like
something to that.
It is something like I can tell who's walking in the house by their step patterns and stuff like that. So to your point about like recognition of players, like that is something that we all do and don't even pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We talk about that a lot, Lucas and I, with soccer, because soccer numbers are so small in a lot of jerseys, and you don't have numbers in the front, that I will literally, with a pen, write down yellow cleats, orange cleats, white cleats, left wristband, blue, blonde hair, mullet, like all these different things. So there is
Missouri Waterfall.
Kate Cowell, mulleted soccer player. And that's what Nashville SC's player, Jacob Schaffelberg, with a mullet that we've nicknamed the Tennessee Water Slide.
There it is.
Literally a part of the process. And it's, you get inside a booth to see any broadcast of football at that level, and I think people would be amazed at how much of a village it takes to put that end product out there of just helping get point A to point B and things like that.
And you're smart to. That's kind of a Michael Scott way of, pepperoni Tony.
Yeah, right. Green beans, go ahead and shut up about it.
and that works for you.
Yeah,
and
sure.
But the other thing with learning faces and those things, during football practice, there's invariably a couple of guys that will tuck a jersey or roll it up to keep cool. And so you don't see the numerals. So you got to look at everything else after that and go, okay, which one of those guys is that? For sure.
I never rolled on my jersey to stay cool. I ain't need anybody.
Well, you're a lineman, so.
I ain't need anybody passing out seeing this 12-pack.
12-pack. Old half case Foster here.
All right. Half case Foster.
Chance
Your
Warmack
nickname in high school.
You know what I'm saying?
Chance Warmack.
Up next to the Bonnaroo Band stage, Half Case Foster.
Actually, that's a decent
That's actually
band
not bad. With musical guest, Half Case Foster.
And it was people from Foster the people that spawned off into that to make a different band.
Go to the Battle of Bands. Don't cheer for Scrantonicity. Cheer for Scrantonicity 2, not Scrantonicity.
Half of Foster the people left and made Half Case
I'm
Foster.
telling you, man. Absolutely.
I love that. But I do think it has been really cool to get to know Taylor and get to know just his heart for Nashville and just how excited he is to be a part of this Titans radio team. And I think people are really going to love getting to know him and getting to just learn more about him as a person, as a dude, as a broadcaster. There was a lot of excitement last night. Really excited to get things started.
And it's genuine. He's ready to immerse himself into this community, not just the broadcast. Mm-hmm. And, right now it's about football. That'll be more about that kind of stuff when we get to next off season.
Well, the other thing I learned last night, I won't give away specifics of this tour and of the tour stops, but we are off tomorrow, the Juneteenth holiday here for Cumulus and for the station. So we will not have Coach Mack on tomorrow, but that worked out because the Mack Across America tour is beginning along the NFL summer break. So
Mack Over America 2025. That dude, he goes everywhere. Now, he goes back to West Texas to see his mom. His mom's like in her mid-90s.
Wow.
And he goes see his brother and his mom and his sister. But yeah, he'll make stops in Arizona. He'll go to California. I mean, he'll be all over the place.
He's got a home in every state.
He does.
No matter. Everybody knows Mac, love Mac, man. He got a home everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
That's right. Excited to watch the Cam Ward 6-part documentary. I've been talking about this morning, and we've been enlightened on Tubi. Stoney Keeley is in the F&M Bank chat just defending tooth and nail Tubi this morning. But excited to learn more about it.
Let me ask you this. So you were not really familiar with Tubi before?
No, I didn't have a positive or negative opinion on it. I just wasn't sure much about it.
For those who cut the cord with cable and that stuff years ago, you learn more outlets, streaming outlets that are non-subscription, that are free. Mm-hmm. And Tubi, there's one called Crackle. Obviously, Pluto TV is a big thing. But this is apparently Tubi dipping a toe in the water of exclusive content with this 0-star series. And I knew that was happening. I knew that was going to be a thing because I found that in just looking at all the off-field research for Cameron Ward. Mm-hmm. When does this 6-part series drop?
September.
Okay,
and from what has been publicized by Tubi and from the production company, they are following him from being passed up at camps as his high school recruitment continued, going to Incarnate Word, going through all of his stops, ending in Miami with a Heisman Trophy caliber season, and then cameras followed him to the draft. There's no mention of them following him around during the season or even during training camp. Like, it sounds like the series is done. Now the publicity tour begins, and it's all going to come out in September.
And that makes sense because that is the way when I heard about the Zero Star series, and I didn't find a ton of information on it a few months ago. I was under the impression that at least the first episode was about Cam Ward. Didn't know the whole thing was about him, but it makes more sense that this is a multiple years project of following around and doing things and leading up to the moment. So but I'm interested just from the human interest part of this and seeing his family around him and just how he interacts. And I mean, I'm getting a little more glimpses of those things, being around him a little more. But I'm very interested to see that.
I like it. Rhett Bryan in studio with us, executive producer of Titans Radio. When we come back, more with Rhett on our topic from hour 2 this morning, Titans that are slated for a big jump in production from 2024 to 2025, plus a game that I am excited about with Rhett Bryan, going down memory lane of past Titans teams. We'll keep it vague for the people, but you'll want to stick around for that in our next conversation with Rhett B coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Good people, right now they have the 47% off on their non-surgical spinal decompression machines, man. I'm here to tell you, or the treatment that is, I'm here to tell you, man, nerve pain in your legs or, weakness that you have, or those sleepless nights where you just dealing with those disc bulges or herniations or just spinal stenosis, they can help fix that, man. Fixing your spine, it could be surgical, it could also be non-surgical. And right now, Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering you their non-surgical procedures where they can just have you on their spinal decompression machines or even lay you down on their zero gravity machines to find the best strategy to help relieve that pressure on your back so it can stop that shooting pain down your legs and just an uncomfortable life. Whether you're just trying to bend over to pick something up or just get back to your regular routines, the Wellness Institute of Nashville can do that for you. They've helped me in that world, man, just because it relieves that pain and it just helps space out the way you need it to. You can get a consultation, also an exam and x-rays included, or also bring your MRI report so that Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley can look over your condition to help you get back to a better self, a better life. And I mean it, absolutely. So reach out to the company I trust at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You can call them at 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com.
Ramon Will is fueled by Scooters Coffee. Visit a locally owned location near you in Rivergate, Smyrna, Brentwood, White House, or Mount Juliet. Amazing people, amazing drinks, amazingly fast. Rhett Bryan in studio, as he is Wednesdays in hour number 4 here on the program.
We're an American band.
737-1045. Who we have there?
Grand Funk Railroad.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
I've never heard of that.
We're an American band. We're
Year?
coming to your town. That would have been probably 1973 or 4, something like that, maybe.
Survey says 1973.
Wow.
Pretty dang good.
Man just knows.
Pretty dang
Man just
good.
knows.
Before
What we're
that's right.
hearing.
Before we get to our conversation on Titans players making a jump, let's go to Joey, who has called in with a question for Rhett. What's up, Joey?
What's up, Rick? Ramon, Will, how y'all this morning?
Morning. Good, man. You?
I'm doing all right, better than I was, but still doing good. So, Rhett, I have a question for you, my brother.
All right.
You know that I'm blind. And y'all done a lot for me in that sense. But I've heard last year I talked to this company called One Court out in Nevada, and they were telling me about a device that they were partnering up with the 4 major sports with that can actually help me also feel the game as to listen to it. And I was just curious, have you heard anything else about this device?
No, that is news to me.
Thank you, Joey.
And I'm interested to see and understand how they help you feel the game in immersion there, other than just the audio that you're hearing. That's interesting. I need to do a little research on that.
I did, if Joey's still listening.
Okay.
So the NFL, as of last year, they did something early January 2024 where there was a commitment to expanding the viewership for visually impaired and blind folks too, blind people also. And as of March 25th, 2025, the American Council of the Blind is to provide advisory service to the NFL regarding accessibility for fans who are blind and have low vision. So there is an initiative started by the NFL and the ACB also. It is spearheaded by both sides. And on the NFL side of things, it is done by NFL Senior Vice President of Social Responsibility, Anna Isaacson. So this is something that, Joey, that is being efforted by the NFL and the ACB to help provide that for you. It doesn't get into the specifics of it, but it said they are regarding special events and its ongoing effort to continually enhance it on its digital, including website, mobile application, and other parts of it too. In stadium side of it, we will see, but that is something that is being researched and pushed now by the NFL and the ACB.
And does it mention again what the device or what the technology is called? That's okay. I'll do some research on this. I wonder, just if I'm guessing, it's like spatial audio that you get, with music streaming platforms. And I just wonder if there's something to that ilk. And I'm very interested to hear how all that works. And I wonder if AI is involved in enhancing
I can see that
or
probably being a part of it.
Yeah.
It speaks on the same stuff over and over again, but it's the ACB is, like I said, again, they're American Council of the Blind. It's a partnership now, Danny. So something should be coming soon. NFL will not lose a viewer. I tell you that much.
That's true.
Well,
no, they
or
want
experience.
you there.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Rhett, we had a conversation earlier this morning about Titans players who are most likely to make a jump from 2024 to 2025. Ramon made a good case for J.C. Latham. I said James Williams. I think he is a guy that has a much bigger role on the Titans defense next to Cody Barton than he did last year. Who stands out to you on that topic of guys you feel like will take a step who were on this team last season?
Well, one, thanks for taking mine.
Okay.
But that's okay. I heard the segment, and I have actually 3.
Okay.
In addition to y'all's 2.
Nice.
One is an obvious one, and that's T'Vondre Sweat.
Yeah.
T'Vondre Sweat, certainly he had to navigate a few things off the field before he got on the field with, the stuff that happened to him in the pre-draft process. And then, they offered lots of resources to him, as they do every player. Yeah. But he actually took and applied those resources to his betterment. And you think about it, he had 51 tackles, a forced fumble recovery, 23 quarterback pressures, and a quarterback sack, and 4 tackles for loss. not too shabby for a big fella in year one.
Because his role ain't going to be stat filling. It is going to be making sure that everybody else eats too, to your point. So that's a real good year for a young fella like him.
It's funny that you talk about that because I was watching, we had a cable and internet outage due to a storm yesterday afternoon after I got back from the event last night. Mm-hmm. And I put in a DVD of all things.
Nice.
And was watching Clint Eastwood in the 1971 thriller Dirty Harry. And, you know, Inspector Callahan, his character, his Dirty Harry, because he did all of the dirty work.
Yeah.
He, you know, wasn't only a homicide detective. He did well. That Tavondre Sweat does a lot of the dirty work.
Has to.
And if he is his best self, then that means that Jeffrey Simmons can be even a better version of Jeffrey Simmons. But that's one.
Okay.
Cedric Gray to go along with James Williams. Cedric Gray lost 10 games because of the injury that he had. So he played in 13 tackles. And so he's playing a little catch up there, but I think that is someone to certainly keep an eye on. And then my favorite draft guy last year in Jarvis Brownlee. Jarvis Brownlee, 74 tackles, 7 for loss, 9 pass breakups, an interception, and a fumble recovery. And that's a pretty young secondary, and they're going to need his help. And he seems somewhat unflappable. Like he knows what he's got to do. He's had this confidence about him. And I think he is certainly in a place to go build on top of what 2024 was for him, like Tavondre Sweat. So there's 3 cases right there. And that you're right. You know, nearly half of the 91 are under the age of 25 currently.
Right.
19 free agents, 23 current rookies drafted and undrafted. So there's a huge change in movement, and there's going to be a lot of young guys that they're going to be counting on. And I think y'all's 2 examples and those 3 other ones are probably the ones I would pencil in as much as anybody.
I think when you talk about Jarvis Brownlee too, Rhett, when we look at the number 2 receivers in the AFC South this season, and this is assuming that L'Jarius Sneed is healthy and available and on the field for the Titans, the number 2 corner role is an important one, not just because of the quarterbacks you're going to play this year. Playing the NFC West and AFC West means that you've got a who's who of quarterbacks that are on your schedule. But even beyond that, for 6 times a season, just look at the second wide receivers you'll play. Josh Downs in Indy. I know more of a slot guy, but someone they will move around that you would want Jarvis Brownlee to help cover.
Who's quick?
Yeah.
Jaden Higgins, the rookie out of Iowa State behind Nico Collins in Houston.
And they took his teammate also.
Mm-hmm.
They took
Jalen
both,
Noel.
Right.
Took both Iowa State guys.
Yep.
And then a guy by the name of Travis Hunter in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the number 2 receivers now. The wide receiver depth in this division has taken a pretty big step up. And this is not the best division in football by any means, but if you're looking for strengths, we talk about how front 7 is a strength of the AFC South right now with DeForest Buckner, with Josh Hines-Allen, with take your pick in Houston on who you want to point out there. But there's some sneaky good wide receiver groups, and Jarvis Brownlee taking that step to almost be a 1B corner would be massive for this defense.
And I think all of that is valid as it pertains to the immediate path for success is, you know, winning in your division is how you get to the postseason.
Yeah.
And I know people are like, Rhett, they won 3 games last year. I get that. I do. But it's still the path for success.
For sure.
But I'm glad you brought up Travis Hunter because, and I mentioned this last night.
Yeah.
I talked to somebody that covers Jacksonville on a regular basis. And in these OTAs and things, like he was working, and we understand how it's going to work for training camp. He'll work 3 days on offense and a day on defense. So he is going to be an offensive weapon predominantly early on for the quarterback, for Trevor Lawrence and this offense. And then working in some sub packages as a defender and using that part of his skill set. So you're right. Behind Brian Thomas Jr. who's
decent,
the guy they traded up to
decent
to 2 for.
Yeah,
but it's clear that Travis Hunter's going to be on offense quite a bit,
and it's a Liam Cohen offense that is built to feed multiple mouths at the wide receiver position. When you look at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and what those two were able to do coexisting in the Tampa offense together. You had 2 1s in Tampa. That's what they're trying to recreate, albeit with a receiver that's going to play some sub packages on defense as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating watching how the AFC South really does revamp itself, too.
Sure.
When you talk about these wide receivers, because now you're going to start looking at where teams drafting these corners at. I think Houston's kind of got, 1 or 2 guys that they trust at the cornerback position, but definitely moving forward with the Titans having L'Jarius. And then if you can develop Jarvis Brownlee, he understands, as we like to say, understanding the assignment of this isn't a day off at wide receiver, too, in the South moving forward. And it just also shows you, too, where the South believes, the AFC South believes its quarterback talent is. Houston's bought into theirs. Right. You see Indy trying to make something there, and Jacksonville doing the exact same thing, too. And the Titans drafted 2 this year also on top of it.
And let me tell you this, too, just going back to Jarvis Brownlee for a second. We're just talking about the division. We haven't talked about going to play the Arizona Cardinals, the Rams, the Chargers, the Chiefs. Like, just start looking at the list.
Yeah.
I mean, AFC West, and anyway.
A lot of good quarterbacks. You got.
It's a challenge every week.
It is.
No doubt. All right, Rhett. So we're going to make this a part of our visits with you over the summer. Not this exact game or exercise, but something a little different. Something down memory lane of Nashville, of the Titans, of Titans radio, of things of that nature. You have compiled a list this morning of what we are affectionately calling the Randy Moss Memorial That Guy Was a Titan game, of different players that wore a Titans uniform that we forget about. And as not only the executive producer of Titans Radio, but I'll give this to you, of a Titans historian. No one is more qualified to compile a list like this than you are. You are a Titans historian. No, you know your stuff about this team.
It is interesting. So what I did is I went and printed the entire all-time player roster through last season, and just in alphabetical order, looking at names that I had. There's some you're like, oh yeah, he did play, and then there's some you're like, wait a minute, when did he play? And a top of mind example in the Andre Johnson, Randy Moss category is people maybe have forgotten that in 2021 for 3 games, Adrian Peterson was a Titan.
That's right. The Monday night or Sunday night game in L.A. had his first touchdown as a Titan.
And Big Jeff went off that night with 3 quarterback sacks.
Kevin Byard with a pick.
But yeah, he had a touchdown. Anyway, little short windows and bursts of things. But yeah, I looked through this. The other thing I find interesting is the plight that the Titans went through, especially around the COVID year, of trying to find a kicker. Because, man, some of these kicker names, like a stabilizing force was obviously Nick Folk coming in and playing through what he's done. And I think that's exactly what John Bones Fossil is looking for out of Joey Sly, who has bounced around himself, but has a leg, clearly. So in 2019, Cody Parkey, Cairo Santos, Greg Joseph, Ryan Santoso, Tucker McCann.
Oh, I forgot about Tucker McCann.
2020, Giorgio Tavecchio.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Steven Gostkowski. Sam Sloman, obviously.
Great job, Sloman.
Let's see. Sam Ficken.
That's right.
The Money Badger, Michael Badgley.
Because he got hurt, Michael Badgley.
Former Texans kicker Randy Bullock in 2022. Josh Lambo, the former Jag, was here for a minute. Trey Wolf, Caleb Shudak. I mean, you start and like, wait a minute.
It's like Defense Against the Dark Arts at Hogwarts. It was cursed.
Oh my.
Dog, I'd never heard of Cody Parkey till now. Pro Bowler, Cody Parkey.
Cody Parkey was the double doink in Chicago.
That's right, in Chicago. That was his.
The double doink to lose to what? The Eagles?
Let's go see 2018.
Yeah, it was a conference game.
It was Eagles. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
15-16 was the score.
Yeah, no, he double doinked an easy field goal to lose that. I mean,
all right,
we just hurt a lot of people from Chicago. Right now.
Leon Washington, former New York Jet. Was a running back for them in 13 and 14. How about Big Mike Williams from Southern Cal, the wide receiver? And this was Big Mike Williams.
Original Mike Williams wide receiver.
And he was big Mike at that time because he was a
USC.
He was swole up. How about Aaron Stinney, who ended up winning a ring with Tom Brady in Tampa?
Yep.
And then there's some throughout history, too, that I just kind of peppered in this. But how about 2021, Buster Screen?
Buster Screen, UT Chattanooga.
That's correct.
Went on a run soon after that, too, I think.
Oilers that people forgot they were Oilers. Kenny Stabler was an Oiler.
Wow.
The Snake.
Yeah, that's right.
And so was Archie Manning. Did you know that?
Archie Manning. No. I did not know that, actually.
Around the same window of time, too.
When was Archie Manning an Oiler?
Archie Manning, I think, was in 1980. Let me double-check that. Stand by. 82 to 83.
Wow.
And
gosh, the Mets were good back then. Was 4 years away from the last Mets
Stabler in 80 and 81. Pretty wild.
Nice.
Wow, Archie Manning.
I never knew Archie Manning. How
about
raise my hand on that.
Former Tulane quarterback and Washington quarterback Patrick Ramsey in 2009. He was a Titan.
Gosh, wow.
Pretty wild. How about in 2014, the blind side from Ole Miss, Michael Orr.
Still here in the city, too.
Pretty wild.
If only he could have gone to Tennessee. Who was his recruiting visit host that didn't do his job to get him to Knoxville?
We discussed early that he was going to Ole Miss. Took him back to his hotel soon after that. That's my dog, though, still to this day.
His recruiting visit host to Knoxville.
Struck out on that one.
How about one that never really played due to an injury, and that was the big free agent wide receiver get from New England, David Givens. Remember that?
Givens, yeah.
And of course, Yancey Thigpen was a Steeler, and then he came here.
Heard about Yancey.
How about Matt Mock, LSU quarterback?
Matt Mock,
who will live in infamy from the Vols lore. 2005.
Matt Mock, yeah.
He actually played in an early season game in Arizona because Mac 9 had he had some kind of an injury issue. I forget what it was. And then Billy Volek got concussed in that game. And so Matt Mock played a good chunk of that game in Arizona.
He's got one
in
start,
05.
too.
I hope he's having a bad day wherever he is for the 01 SEC championship.
Former Buffalo Bills wide receiver Eric Moles from Mississippi State. He was a Titan back in 2007.
I'll throw in one bonus one, Rhett, since you're talking about Steelers and Titans that doesn't get a lot of run. Not that long ago, Robert Spillane had a cup of coffee here as an inside linebacker.
Dog, too.
Ended up becoming a pretty dang good inside linebacker.
Went to
Robert
Vegas.
Spillane is still good.
Yeah, because he was an invite to rookie mini camp.
And one more that was an invite to camp that didn't make the roster, who had a good career and won a couple Super Bowls. LeGarrette Blount.
Sure was.
And if we're going down that road, let's not forget Jack Doyle, who went to Indianapolis to be a tight end there.
He was a Titans killer, too.
How about former Colorado tight end Daniel Graham, the former Bronco?
Wow.
Who scored a touchdown against his old team at Nissan Stadium.
Nice.
Two-time Super Bowl champ Daniel Graham.
Wow. How about that?
There's so many guys on this list. Wow.
I'll give you kind of one in infamy.
Who?
That was an Oiler back in 73, 74. Linebacker Al Cowlings. AC.
Oh, my gosh.
White Bronco.
Right. Yeah.
Really? Oh, my gosh. Yes, you're right.
The light came on, then she was like, whoa.
AC. Oh, wow. I didn't know that one. Goodness sakes. A couple of submissions on YouTube. One submission says Oklahoma legend and Heisman winner Jason White.
Jason White. That's correct.
He was a Titan?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that one. I just looked up Jason White Football Reference. No, I don't want the goalkeeper from England. I want the quarterback, dang it.
And I think he was in, preseason stuff. I don't know that he ever made up.
Okay, yeah, because that's not even on Pro Football.
Jason Gesser, another quarterback. Jason Gesser.
Wow.
But, yeah.
When I think of obscure quarterbacks, I always go Rusty Smith and Alex Tanney as the two practice squad warrior quarterbacks.
Well, I'll give you another one that people forget about in 2018. Blaine Gabbert.
Oh, yeah. Blaine Gabbert had to play a win-and-in game on Sunday Night Football with a Marcus Mariota elbow injury against Indy.
Boom.
Which we suppressed the memory of. That's okay. We don't think about that game.
Jesse Mahalona.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Absolutely. Nice, Rhett. I like it. Good stuff.
You just start. And every team has, if you go look at their all-time roster, they played for, and obviously it's more common in the last 30 years with free agency but nobody remembers, Joe Willie Namath playing for the Rams at the end of his career.
Right.
And,
That's crazy.
all those stops that Jerry Rice had at the end of his.
Or Steve Young,
'cause he was in
right?
camp with Denver and then just decided to retire.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Nice. Good
anyway,
stuff.
that was fun.
great.
Bubba and
there.
Dixon says Dexter McCluster.
Dexter McCluster,
Now,
2014.
Yeah, and now since then, Independence High School assistant football coach.
Good dude, too.
Dexter McCluster, yeah, king. He killed the Vols at 09. Oh,
Yeah.
DMC.
again, suppressed memory. Good stuff. Thank you, Rhett.
Suppressed memory.
I was 12. It's fine. There is Rhett Bryan with us on this Wednesday morning. We will wrap up the show. Some midweek motivation from Inky Johnson is next. Wrapping up the show, Ramon Will is brewed by Scooter's Coffee as we get you out of here. On your Wednesday morning, the Buck Rising Show coming up next. We will not be on the air tomorrow, as we will recognize Juneteenth tomorrow as a national holiday, and many of you will be doing the same. And we will be back on air Friday, Ramon Foster.
Yes, indeed. A little break, a little midweek. Well, end of the week break before it gets the real weekend.
Everyone knows Thursday is the new Friday as well. So
that's what they're saying.
I love Thursday.
That's what I've heard. I do too.
My favorite day of the week.
It just hypes me up for what Friday is to come. I mean, what's to come on Friday. So,
sure.
Yeah, I'm all into it, Will.
I like it.
I take this day, though, too. Most definitely.
Absolutely. Coming up Friday morning, we will have, of course, Brent Hubbs and Ron Slay to join us. Slay was, you know what? Slay is playing hurt, not injured now on 3HL.
Hurt, not injured.
There's a difference. Some guys get injured and just won't make it out there. Some guys play hurt. Ron Slay playing hurt right now is soldiering through.
It's soldiering through, man. That's all he's ever known, man. It's fascinating because I've seen him on his crutches and stuff like that. And last week, I walked to the vehicle with him after the show. But yesterday, I walked to the vehicle with him after Taylor Zarza's event. And also 3HL show was done. My dog Pogo sticked into the doggone truck yesterday. I was like, hey, look, man. Yeah, like he put his crutches in and then he hopped up on one leg. And I'm like, I didn't know you were hurting like this, Savage.
Yeah, that's tough.
Next Friday can't come quick enough, is what I'm telling y'all. I need my dog. I even said to him, look, I'll find a mobile, like a wheelchair if you want me to.
What's the checkpoint for next Friday?
That's the surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, surgery's next Friday.
Gotcha.
I legitimately told him, like, we're going to go find a mobile, like, we're going to find a wheelchair for you. We'll do whatever we have to.
Golf cart, wheelchair, you name it.
Don't matter, Will. We got a ramp at the station and everything, man. He'll get in here. It's a matter of getting around right now because he is hustling.
That's crazy.
That is pretty wild.
The guy's jumped a lot in his life.
That hardwood, man. And I'm slow to joke him and mess with him, too, because usually it's genetic. With certain stuff, I'm thinking to myself, I'm probably about 5-6 years away.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I hope
if you
not.
go to a T-Pack show, just make sure you got an aisle seat.
Like,
stretch out those legs.
It does make it, like, terrible to go to places like that, though, because, again, the stands, even in Neyland, I had a very unpleasant visit to Neyland Stadium.
Yeah, no, it's built for it's old school.
Ohio State was the exact same way, too. You're on top of people. Like, it is sardines getting to college stadiums in general.
Nothing about the Ohio State trip that was enjoyable other than leaving the state of Ohio.
Yeah, no.
Football wasn't enjoyable. The weather wasn't enjoyable.
People weren't
nothing.
enjoyable.
The people were not enjoyable.
And they're my people, which is crazy. It's more Pittsburgh Steelers fans in Ohio than it is Browns in Cincinnati. Like, y'all hate me right now, but college sports hit a little near and dear to the heart.
That is the show. That is your Wednesday morning. We will be back with you Friday, an extended break for us on Juneteenth tomorrow. And right now, before we get to the Buck Rising Show, what are you laughing about?
Savage reacted to my comment. He said, this fool said, Pogo sticked into the truck. He did. Well, he legitimately got up on his good leg and hopped up with one.
I'm going to need a gif of that. Here it is. If you're pogo sticking through the middle of your week, here is midweek motivation, courtesy of Inky Johnson.
Oftentimes, if it doesn't go our way, we don't see it as a blessing, right? If something happens, an experience, if it doesn't go the way we want it to go, oftentimes we don't consider that to be a blessing. But some of the greatest blessings in our lives are things that didn't turn out or work out the way that we wanted it to, right? I know personally, right? My arm got paralyzed. I never thought I would be doing what I'm. One of the greatest blessings of my life, right, was in the midst of redirection. And so if we can put our perspective and our perception in such a place that when it doesn't go our way, because we know what to do when it goes our way, but when it doesn't go our way, not only what is the lesson in it, like what's the blessing in it, right? Some of the greatest blessings are things that don't work out or didn't go as planned. That's why I called it serendipity, Yeah. Because oftentimes when we would see a person at a certain destination or see somebody working in their purpose, when I was a young man, I would think, man, they had to always want to do that. Right? That person teaching, that person speaking, that person like corporate America, that person, they had to always want to do that. And then when you asked them, hey man, how did you start doing what you're doing? Like, how did this happen? And then they go down the rabbit hole. No, man, I was trying to do this. Then this happened. I got redirected to this. I was talking to a pastor last night. I was like, man, this is a beautiful facility. Like, how did this happen? Like, how did you become a pastor? You had to always want to be, you went to seminary, this, that. He was like, nah, man, when I was 19, I had a scholarship to play baseball. He said, and I got a young lady pregnant. I had to redirect my life. I didn't get the opportunity to go play baseball. It sent me down the road in terms of my spiritual development. Now I'm a pastor, right? Blessing, but came in the form of several lessons, right? Keep your perspective open. I'll say that again. Keep your perspective open to catch the lesson and the blessing. Yeah, man.